It's trade line day. Welcome to the Chicago Hockey Radio trade deadline special. The deadline has come and gone. Justin Lynch, Lee Grossman, Tassos Kirkos, Raven Gasser producing today as always. Fellas, the deadline has passed.
Man, I'm kind of pissed.
Yeah, I'm pretty underwhelmed too. I mean, we'll get into it. I mean, I think the trade that we did do today was a good one for us. But I think it wasn't maybe the trade that we all saw coming. I think we can all, it's fair to say. So, but a lot went down, not just in Hawks land too, but in NHL land. So plenty to talk about in the NHL hour as well. I think we'll probably just make it one big trade deadline episode. First ever CHR trade deadline special.
Look, I think you can pencil us into the playoffs next year with Joe Veleno now. So I think that really shores up the lineup, and we are ready to come out swinging next year.
Joe Veleno, future Blackhawks legend here. He's the savior of the franchise. That's our help. That's Bedard's help right there. That's gonna be the 1-2 connection, right?
So looks like Brad Marchand to
It's
Florida
happening.
is coming over the wire right now. At
Oh
the
my
last minute
gosh.
here.
Florida is a wagon, dude.
Yeah. I'm curious what the return for that will be.
Yep.
Well, can you imagine Marchand and Chuck in the playoffs? Holy jumping.
First of all, just how awkward that is going to be probably. Like, other than Brad Marchand, maybe to the Maple Leafs, like, I can't think of probably a more awkward destination for him to go to.
I thought it was going to be Vegas. That would have been the most Brad Marchand location of all time. But Florida, I think that works for him. He's probably going to like the weather down there. It's I think he'll take nicely to it.
I think they might end up just becoming best friends. Like, I feel like they're kind of... I'm talking about Matthew Tkachuk and Brad Marchand. I don't know. I could just see them becoming best buddies. And, like, I feel like they kind of see the game the same way. They're both agitators in their own ways. Brad Marchand has a serious chance to win another Stanley Cup. So...
Before we get into all of this, I just want to do the quick housekeeping things. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you are new here and this is your first time experiencing Chicago Hockey Radio, hit the subscribe button, go over to Instagram, hit the follow button at Chicago Hockey Radio. If you are an audio listener, or if you're a video listener, please leave a 5-star rating and review on our Spotify and Apple podcast page. Helps us out a lot. I am going to throw this out there too. If you're a real CHR enjoyer, you're probably watching. You know, I know most of our like diehard fans like are watchers as opposed to listeners. If you're doing nothing, if you're watching us right now on your computer, let's say, take your phone out, pull out Apple Podcasts, and just let our episodes play at 2 times speed. Or, you know, you can download our episodes too. That helps us out a lot. We're in the 104th spot. So as far as podcast rankings go, they rank hockey podcasts every single day. There was an old website called Chartable that did it. Now it's a new website called Rephonic that does it. It's heavily based on Apple Podcast metrics. So if you like download our podcast episodes on Apple Podcasts while you're watching and listening to us right now, it helps us out a ton. So we really appreciate you guys. We're like 104 right now, and the rankings go all the way down to 250. So I know that 104 is like kind of low. And look, we're always trying to get better. We want to be
The
there.
Leafs are getting Brandon Carlo.
Stop. Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a good move. We'll break it down. Let me just finish this housekeeping. But yes, thank you, Insider Lee. Look at you all dressed up for today. That's nice.
Yeah, y'all got a suit. And I'm wearing my fucking Hawks jersey. I'm like the polar bear in Texas here.
So, but yeah, it helps us out a ton when you guys like do all that stuff, like downloading our podcasts, letting it play. Even if you're a video listener, just like letting it play on audio is a big help to us. So, we want to keep climbing up the rankings. We want other people to jump on the same board that you guys are on. The other thing too, so we had a live show.
That was so much fun, man. That was absolute cinema, man. That might be CHR's top moment so far.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like our breakout performance, our Jordan flu game performance. First of many. I think we'll be doing plenty more live shows in the future, and it's y'all's support that make that possible. So I really appreciate all of you who came out. And those of you who didn't, you missed out, but don't worry, we'll have future chances for sure.
Flu game. None of us were sick.
No, but I mean, like, it was like our breakout performance. Like, we
It's
showed
like a
out.
marquee performance.
Marquee
Like, the
moment.
lights were bright, and we showed out. You know, we were clutch.
No, just wanted to say thank you again, though, to Midwest Coast Brewing for hosting us. Everybody that pulled up said that the space kind of like blew them away of their expectations. I know you guys hadn't seen it before pulling up, or even two. But it was beautiful in there, man. Like the vibes were really good. The drinks were really good. So thank you again to everybody that showed up, showed out. It meant the world to us, and that was a ton of fun. So the more people that we get to subscribe and do all that fun stuff, the more CHR enjoyers we get, the more likely we are able to do that kind of stuff in the future. And we're already kind of in talks for some different stuff like that. So, all right, housekeeping over. Trade deadline day has come and gone. I'm sure we'll get some stuff trickling in here. Lee just mentioned Brendan Carlo to the Maple Leafs. I like that. I won't lie, unless it includes Easton Cowan or Fraser Minton in the return. I can see that coming back to bite the Leafs in the rear end. But yeah, I like the move. Obviously, this is the Hawks hour, so we'll start and end there up until the end of the hour here. But there was one move. I know the conversation here is probably going to go towards the move that wasn't made.
Yeah.
But we should probably talk about the move that was made first. It is Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith to Detroit. Coming the Hawks' way, Joe Veleno. Initial thoughts, Justin?
Well, it's definitely one of the trades that happened. I think amongst all these massive trades that happened this trade deadline, I think that'll be the one that gets people really talking the most. But no, I think in all seriousness, from the Hawks' perspective, I like it. I mean, I think that was the plan, right, to offload Mrazek. I think it was a question of whether we'll be able to do that now or the offseason, right? Question if there's a team that was going to want him. But the Red Wings, obviously, their goaltending situation, they thought maybe he's the answer there. They'll probably be running 3 goalies now. And Mrazek, obviously, is a former Red Wing and played probably his best hockey of his career with them. So that's pretty good in Carolina land, too. But yeah, I think his time here, if the Hawks was up, and now this allows us to run a night Soderblom 10 the rest of the season. Also, that's $4.25 million, I believe, off the books. So even more salary cap to play with. I think we're going to have something like $40 million to work with in the offseason or something. So we'll probably just end up taking that $4 million and giving it to Ryan Donato. But we'll see what happens there. And yeah, I mean, in terms of Veleno for Smith, I like that. I mean, 25-year-old Joe Veleno still got some potential. Good bottom 6 guy, right? He was a pretty good prospect back in the day. Never really panned out. Kind of a Jimmy Vesey type career, just kind of 4-flying guy. But I think maybe we'll get an extended look here in Chicago. I definitely take him over Craig Smith. Get an unk out of here. So I think from that perspective, that works out, checks out. So yeah, no, our initial thoughts are for the Hawks. I like it. Good trade for them. For Detroit, don't really get it. I don't really think that's really going to help their cause very much in this playoff race, but we'll see.
Yeah, 3 goaltenders now in Detroit doesn't really make sense from their standpoint, I guess, unless they really wanted Craig Smith to be like a 4th line guy. I think it's good for it. I would be super happy about this trade if the Ryan Donato trade was also made. If we got like the big piece there. We said on the show a couple times throughout the past week or so that we were expecting probably a bag of pucks for Peter Mrazek and not much more. But the move's good because between the 4.25 of Mrazek and the $1 million of Craig Smith, that's an extra. It's going to be $3 million that the Blackhawks get towards their cap once they bring in Joe Veleno. So it makes us younger, gives us a little bit more cap room. You got rid of the 3rd goaltender that wasn't going to play anyway. It's a good trade.
I could totally see Joe Veleno being that next legendary bottom 6 Blackhawk. We all love those bottom 6 guys, 4th liners. I think Veleno, he fills that role nicely. So yeah, I'm kind of with you there. It's a good trade, but it's wasn't really the trade I was looking for today, right? I think we kind of expected Pierre to be gone, so it wasn't really surprising. So I think maybe it's a little more underwhelming considering the trade that wasn't made, which we'll get into. But no, I think from just looking at this one itself, I like it. I think it's a good move for the Hawks. Makes sense. And it would be nice to see Spencer Knight more this season, Soderblom as well. Just ride that tandem. I think looking forward to seeing it.
So Peter Mrazek, to hold on to that for a second, there were reports out there that the Hawks were willing to give him up for nothing. That it was the year remaining of term on the contract that was making some teams hesitant about pulling the plug on Peter Mrazek. He does return to the team that he spent his first 5.5 seasons with, was drafted in the 5th round back in 2010 by the Red Wings. Had some success there, too. It was sort of after that when he got moved to Carolina and, the expectations got higher and he just sort of, started bouncing, or he went to Philly first, I guess. But in Carolina after that, it was just way too much weight on his shoulders. I think returning to maybe some familiarity will help him. Kind of seems like Detroit, this is we're pushing for the playoffs kind of move for them, right? I understand it's not, but Joe Veleno's the younger player, right? They have struggled with the goaltending a little bit. They shipped off Ville Husso for nothing. You know, don't you think a little? I know that Craig Smith, and I understand this isn't like going out there and getting Scott Laughton or Brendan Tanev or a real.
Yeah, I'd rather have Joe Veleno than Craig Smith. And like, I don't really think Mrazek solves anything. We actually have some breaking news here to cover too. It looks
What
like
do we
Hawks-
got?
Shea Weber to the Chicago Blackhawks.
Stop. Are
I'm
you
not
serious?
kidding.
We're the
I'm
new
not kidding.
Arizona Coyotes. Are you kidding me, man?
I'm not kidding. Shea Weber to Chicago.
Somebody who's already
contract to
inducted into the
Chicago.
Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so Victor Soderstrom, Akurati, Shea Weber, and then to Utah, a 6th-round pick.
A 5th-round pick, or looks like 2026 fifth. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh.
I mean, unless Shea Weber was planning on coming out of retirement. No, that's not going to happen. Yeah, we're the new. That was my first thought seeing this trade. We're the new Arizona Coyotes because they were famous for taking on dead contracts afterwards to help out teams in their cap situations. So, yeah, that's an interesting trade for the Hawks. I mean, they have all that cap space. I suppose it makes sense that they would take on a deal like that. Yeah, I'm initial thoughts. I mean,
Akurati?
Ratu is how you say it, actually.
Aku.
Soderstrom, these are
Ratu.
decent players. Actually, I recognize a few names here. Let's see,
So
let's get
Victor
into it.
Soderstrom was actually a very, very high pick. He
Yeah.
was picked 11th overall by the Arizona Coyotes back in 2019. He did not really. He spent 3 games with the Coyotes last year. Has played how many games in the NHL? I want to get it right.
53. He's got 1 goal, 10 assists, 11 points in 53 games. He's been playing in Sweden this year.
And he's kind of ripping it up right now for Brinash. 36 points in 47 games. So he remains an unsigned RFA. And if now that means if he were to want to make a return to the National Hockey League, that he would do so with the Chicago Blackhawks. I actually don't mind that gamble at all.
Yeah,
you're
no,
just
it's not
kind
bad.
of just hoping for one of these prospects to be a legit player, I guess.
Yeah, 24 years old, right? I mean, he's succeed in the AHL, so just NHL hasn't really got a lot of time. So we'll see. I mean, we have quite a few defensemen in our pipeline here, so we've got a lot of competition here to find a spot with us. But gotta think he gets opportunity with Rockford or something. Yeah.
And
signed.
Ratu
Yeah, he's
has
a right shot.
19. Ratu has 19 points in 50 games with the Tucson Roadrunners this year.
That name sounds familiar.
That's because his brother.
Yeah, it was a super highly touted.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got really excited for a second because I know he's a pretty highly touted prospect.
his brother was involved in the Bo Horvat trade. He was
That's
an
right.
Islanders kid, and now he's in the Canuck system.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, look at me. He's point per game player, looks like, in the minors. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. Could have something there.
No,
That's
that's
a
his
good-
brother.
Oh, I'm looking at his brother again.
Yeah, that's the good one.
Well, I'm real locked in here, right? Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I mean, look, it's a gamble. I mean, for the Hawks' perspective, I mean, it's not really negative to this trade for their perspective. So, taking on the salary and a couple darts to throw to board there. Maybe one of them pans out. Maybe not. If not, not really a big deal. You're not really losing anything there. Yeah.
See, is it a 6th-round pick or a 5th-round
It's a
pick?
5th rounder. Like, who cares? Like, that's not going to be
The
anything,
odds of
so.
that player eventually turning into an NHLer at some point here is.
Yeah, Utah, it's just a salary
How
dump.
many
and
years
then,
left is on the Shea Weber contract?
Let's see.
He's already in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
I know.
It can't be that much longer. Yeah.
It's like
I was gonna
4
say.
more years of Shea
4
Weber.
more years. Well,
4
let's see
more
if it
years
is.
of Shea Weber's ghost haunting the United Center. No, it better be just next year, right? I'd assume.
Let's see. Cap hit to 25-26. Yeah, so it comes off the books next year. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's not too bad. Oh, it's 7.8 million there, but I don't know if it's actually that much of the.
No, they'll
Yeah.
LTIR it. and
The
it won't.
LTIR, yeah, right, correct.
So
Yeah.
that is an interesting move.
Yeah, definitely
get
not
before
one.
the-
Definitely not one I saw on the docket there for sure.
No.
Not definitely. I mean, if you talk about the Mrazek trade, at least we saw that coming. I don't know if anyone saw this one coming. So, yeah, I guess it gets us to the floor, right? Because obviously, get rid of most of Seth's contract, and now we're adding Peter to that. So they had to get to the floor. So I guess that's what this does. Yeah.
Man, this Brad Marchand thing just is really trippy.
Yeah, what I want to hear the logistics of that one.
It
'Cause it's
doesn't
like,
look like we'll get that probably until the NHL hour.
It's just like what does
What is
Florida
Boston
even have?
doing? What is Boston
They're
doing?
there's a fire sale.
They're-
They're, just
yeah,
getting
they're
rid of.
cooked.
They're
Yeah, they're
getting
done.
rid of everything.
But then,
They're tearing it down.
like, is it a rebuild then?
I mean, you would have to think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that we have the pieces to retool, right? So,
Coyle, Carlo, Marchand. Who else have they traded?
But the Brad Marchand thing is so interesting because you think of these guys like Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci, who, and I understand Chara came from different teams, but like some of these players, like they never spent other seasons with other teams in their career.
And it doesn't always pan out, right? I mean, look at Steven Stamkos in Nashville, right?
Like, you'd have to imagine that Brad Marchand wanted to stay in Boston.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to imagine him elsewhere, right? I mean, he's a Bruins legend. He always but I mean, just where that team's at right now, I mean, I wouldn't really blame him for wanting to. I don't think this is a bad situation for him going to defending champs, chance to win a cup again. Like, I think for his perspective, I don't think I'd be that upset about it. I mean, I know it sucks leaving a team you've been there for over a decade with and won a cup with, but I think it was kind of time there. I mean, this year, there's been a lot of tension there, which there hasn't really been in past years. So I think this was kind of only a matter of time from his perspective.
Yeah, it just feels really weird, man.
It does. By the way, I wasn't completely wrong earlier when I said that Roddy's a point-per-game player. He's played in one career NHL game and had an assist, so there you go. Maybe we got something brewing there.
Okay, so let's shift back to the Blackhawks here a little bit. I just we'll as details of trades start to come in, we'll start releasing them a little bit more here. So obviously the move that was not made was Ryan Donato. Most people, were watching Daily Faceoff's trade deadline thing as it's passed here, and they had him ranked number 10, I think, on their board, 9 or 10 on their trade board, and he ends up not getting moved. The only other player ranked higher on their list that wasn't moved was Brock Boeser. So I'm curious what you guys think about this, unless you guys want to break down Joe Veleno more.
No, I think this is the biggest move for the Hawks today was the move that wasn't made, and it's this. Look, we love Ryan Donato. I love Ryan Donato. He's had a great season. Don't get me wrong. I love what he's done for this team this season. One of the few guys you could count on consistent effort every night. I just don't think he's going to have another season like this in his career. I mean, you look. I have Hockey Reference pulled up right here. His career high before this season was 31 points. He's got 46 this year. He's been cooking 23 goals, 23 assists in 60 games. Look at his shot percentage. Last year at the Hawks, 8.1. This year, 16.9.
Yikes.
He's shooting 17% this year. That's more than double last season. Like, do we really think he's going to have another year like this? Like,
No.
Look, this is a shitty Hawks team, right? Somebody's got to produce. Somebody's got to score. He's a bottom six guy who's had an opportunity to play in the top six this year, extended minutes, and obviously he's benefited from. He's been finishing. One of the few guys on the team who can, but I don't think it's always going to be that way. And as this team gets better here and starts coming out of this thing, he's going to revert back to bottom six minutes. And guess what? He's going to revert back to bottom six production. He's been a 20, 30 point guy his whole career here. And this is a guy in a seller's market, where guys like Scott Lawton are getting back first round picks. You're telling me Ryan Donato couldn't? Like, I don't really buy that. I'm sure that's going to be Katie's excuse. I'm sure, the Glazers that's what they'll be saying. But, it's negotiating, right? And I think Donato, the season he's had, the selling market that we're seeing right here, one of the few guys in this team with any asset value whatsoever, you got to take advantage of that, right? You got to sell a player when his stock is highest, like stock, right? And I think this is the best stock you're going to see him play in his career. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope Ryan Donato proves me wrong. I hope when he gets the bag, he takes it and runs with it and becomes a piece for us. That's what I hope. But I have my doubts there. I have my doubts. This screams Jason Dickinson again. Like last year, Dickinson was having a really good season for the Hawks. One of the only guys besides Bedard who was, worth watching. We reward him with that 4.5. Same with Mrazek too. Mrazek was having a really good season with us last year. We reward him with the 4.5. We were able to get rid of it this year, so that checks out. It's like you give these veterans who are in their primes these like reward contracts. It's like, but it doesn't always mean they're going to keep playing that way, right? Especially as the team gets better and they have less minutes to go around. It's like, I don't know. I just don't know if it's sustainable,
I need to know the logistics behind this thing. What happened? We heard, I feel like for the past 24 hours that Kyle Davidson was taking calls, was super active on the phone. What was his asking price for Ryan Donato? And
First
how
rounder.
close did it get? Because if it was, there's no way it was just a first round. Like, I promise you, he got offered a first rounder. If Ryan Donato did not get offered a first rounder,
I don't get it.
Like, that's Kyle Davidson being horrible at his job or something. Like, there's absolutely no way that he shouldn't have gotten it. Was the price higher than that? Did he want a specific player? Did he want a specific prospect? I want to wait and hear what that is, because as of right now, it's like, what are we doing with Ryan Donato then? So are we going to extend Ryan Donato? What's that contract going to look like?
You better get that done now. It's like, because then it's like, if you don't extend him, you lose him for fucking nothing, right? Dylan Strome over again. I assume that's the plan. Like, I assume they're working on that right now. That's when they made it sound like that's happening today. I think it was Sarah Bollier reported they're working on an extension with him. So we'll see what that number looks like. I mean, that's another thing that's going to be very curious, right? If I see like $4 or $5 million, I'm not going to be too thrilled about that. I mean, has he been a $4 or $5 million player this season? Yes. Is Ryan Donato a $4 or $5 million player in the long run? No, he's not. I think that should be probably somewhere in the $3 million range, probably 3.5.
If you don't get it, I just hate it because if you don't get a contract signed with him now, if you can't come to an agreement, if him and his agent are asking too much and he hits free agency, then you look like such a fucking fool.
I can't think. There's no way.
Because you could have gotten a first for him. And now it also forces your hand because if he walks for nothing, you look like an idiot. So then I'm worried that's going to force Kyle Davidson to sign him to a number that's too high. And it's like, I don't know. It's plenty loud, dude.
We've seen this in sports so many times. Players step up, when there's a lot on the line. This is a contract year for Ryan Donato. I think he's got great worth. Like, I'm not saying Donato's the type of guy who's going to take the foot off the gas. I don't think he does that. Like, clearly they love him in the room. Clearly Bedard loves him. Clearly the team loves him. I think he has the right attitude, the right mindset. That's why we all love Ryan Donato. It's just not a guarantee that he's going to put up this type of production, from this point going forward. I haven't really seen enough from him, to be able to be, confident that it's going to be the case, right? If he was, then can you make the case that that's worth more than another second round pick? Yes, but I think we could have gotten more than just a second for the way he's been producing. And look at the market. Look at Anthony Bolivier. That's a guy at the Hawks trade at the deadline last year. You know what they got for him? A 5th rounder. Guess what the Pens got for him? A 2nd rounder. This was a seller's market.
Yep.
And I think for a rebuilding Hawks team that should be in sell mode, you gotta take advantage of it. Like the fact that this Mrazek thing was the only trade. But I know we traded Seth last week. That was last week. The fact that this was the only move we made at deadline day, it was a good one. But I can't help but feel underwhelmed that was all we did. I mean, I feel like this is something that I feel like we're going to regret this. Look at a guy who played in the top 6 out last year, Phil Kirsch, at 50-point season. Look what he's done this year. Jack shit. That's another comparable there. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I hope Donato, again, proves us wrong here, but I'm a little nervous about this. I'm not sure this is going to work out. We'll see.
I even think of a team like Ottawa, right? They had about $800,000 in cap space today. They cleared up a little bit of cap space with the Dylan Cousins for Josh Norris and Jacob Bernard Docker trade, and even got back an extra 2nd rounder in that deal.
It was a sell, dude.
If there was, look, I know you guys are saying first for Donato. If the options are between re-signing him to a contract that is out of the range of what he's probably worth, or losing him for nothing and a 2nd round pick, how do you not get that deal done with the Ottawa Senators to take the cap space that they just got? They're looking to add and say, hey, you just got a bonus 2nd rounder. Swap it.
Well, the one for me was the Hurricanes, because obviously in the Rantanen trade, they get back 2 firsts, and they said they're looking for a middle 6 forward. I saw that and immediately put in the Hawks chat, Ryan Donato, and didn't happen. Boeser wasn't dealt either, was he? So I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I thought that was a potential move the Hawks could have made there, and increase that Hawks to Carolina pipeline, but unfortunately didn't quite happen there, which I feel like they owed us after that. Rantanen thing doesn't really help us out either. That's another guy who's off the table for us with his extension in Dallas, but we can get into that in the NHL hour.
Another thing with keeping Donato is even if you sign him to a deal that's not too crazy and it's in the 3 to 4 range and not the 5 to 6 range, he's a bottom 6 forward. Let's be honest. He's a bottom 6 forward playing out of his head this year. If they keep him and then he's playing top 6 minutes next year, that's a loss for the Blackhawks. It's another older player taking a roster spot that should be a young player developing in that role.
He's not an unk though. He's 28, going to be 29. He's in his prime, so he's not
But as far as the Blackhawks timeline goes, it's still better to have the young players playing those roles.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm with you on that one. That kind of sucks we couldn't offload. We got rid of Mrazek. It would have been nice if we could have got rid of a few more unks there. We got rid of Smith. I know teams were taking offers on Maroon, and it's the fact that they were taking offers on him, I would have given him up for free. We want to talk about giving up players for free. Pat Maroon would be, I don't even care what the return. You could have given us future considerations to get rid of him, open up another spot for a young player. But whatever, that's a separate discussion. But Murphy's another guy I thought maybe could have been looked at, but no, it is what it is.
But Murphy, I saw some people in chat asking why he didn't get. Dude, his contract's too big.
And no more retention spots.
$4.4 million. Nobody has room for Connor Murphy's really not even worth that right now.
Yeah, and we obviously used up all retention spots. KD being the cuck and the Rantanen trade, and just to come back to the Central Division for an opponent for the next 8 years. So that worked out really nicely too. So better hope we get Mitch Marner in the offseason.
The Central absolutely loaded the fuck up.
Yeah, stars, man. This is Feels like they're here to lose. Here.
Winnipeg, Avs, and Dallas were like
Central's
the biggest
gauntlet,
hires.
Man. Yeah, Central's a gauntlet. But here's a nice thing though. You could argue all the Central teams are they're going to win now, right? So it's a kind of sacrifice to their future. So by the time the Hawks are good again, hopefully that's less competition there, right? I'm probably on nothing there, but
Well, the thing is that Dallas is going to be really good for the next 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, and we get right when we're finally free to Renton in the Central, he's just right back there. So that went really swell. Thank you, Carolina. How stupid is Carolina for that, man? Now, at least we're not them. Like, imagine trading for Mikko Rantanen and then just giving up on him before the trade deadline because you weren't. I thought for sure he was a rental. Like I said it right away when they traded for him. They're probably not going to be able to re-sign him. But it's like if you win a cup with Mikko Rantanen, I don't think anybody's going to care. Like you basically just threw in the towel.
They kind of just traded Marty Necas and Jack Drury for Logan Stankoven.
Like Stankoven's great. Don't get me wrong.
Well, but you know what? Like, and it's 2/3 as well.
Yeah, 2/3 as well.
So, but if you had told me that you were trading Marty Necas for Logan Stankoven, 2 firsts and 2 third-round picks, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take that. 2 firsts and 2 thirds and Logan Stankoven.
Yeah, but they're trying to win right now, though.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like a rebuilding hockey team here.
It's not a move that you make if you're like seriously trying to win right now in this window.
Such an unserious, it's a half measure, man. Like you go all in, commit. I don't know. Anyway, that's an NHL discussion.
It kind of just feels like Carolina's like okay with being pretty good, being like a fringe contender that's like never going to go all the way for the next like decade and a half. It's like it feels like a move that they're like we're okay with getting to the second round every year and that's the ceiling. And
Taylor Hall is the answer.
We'll make our money and we'll be competitive during the regular season.
Taylor Hall Conn Smythe run. That's trust.
It's like they're going for longevity and like a marathon here instead of actually trying to win.
Yeah, they're always a step behind. Yeah.
A couple of moves also coming in at the deadline. Looks like Colorado is bringing back Eric Johnson, so that's a nice feel-good story there for the Avalanche. And interesting one between Ottawa and San Jose. Ottawa's getting Fabian Zetterlund, Tristan Robbins, and a 4th-round pick for Zach Ostapchuk, Noah Gregor, and Ottawa's 2025 second-rounder. So that almost kind of alludes to my point of Donato to the Sens for a second-rounder.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny though. Like with all these returns, though, we've seen with some of these guys getting second rounders. It's like I think Frederick got a second rounder. I think it was Gustav Nyquist got a second. A few other guys. I feel like I would have been underwhelmed if it was just a second for Ryan Donato. So in that case, if that was the best offer that KD was getting, then maybe keeping him was the right move. You know,
why?
like we haven't.
If we're talking about
how many mid-round picks do we have? We have so many second, third-round picks. Like if it was anything less than a first rounder, I would be disappointed. So from that standpoint, don't just make a trade to make a trade. You know.
My only pushback to that is it's not good enough to just say, okay, the return wasn't good enough, so that's why we didn't do it. We have to know what the extension would look like for Ryan Donato. So we can't say we're content with keeping him and not trading him for a second round pick if he's going to ask for 5.6 and then walk for nothing.
The other thing too is like if you're admitting that he's not going to be as good next season and he will regress back to the mean, then why wouldn't you trade a second round pick for him?
And there's something to be said for that. Like I think if you had told Hawks fans before this season that we'd be able to get a second round pick for Ryan Donato at the trade deadline, I think people would do jumping jacks. Like that would have been nobody would have even thought about that, right?
And here's the other thing too. You're like, oh, why do we need more second round picks? Why do we need more second round picks? Well, you know what you can use second round picks to trade up. You
don't have to
package the Maple Leafs first rounder and a couple of second rounders, you move up a couple of spots. You package up a couple more of them, you move up a couple more spots. You understand? And then suddenly a pick that hopefully is going to be 32 by the end of it ends up being a top 15 pick.
Are we committing to a tank next year? Another one? Walker pointed it out, and I think it's a really good point. Like I feel like these moves do kind of tip the cap a little bit to, especially with that Shea Weber pick or trade. It does feel like we are accepting the fact that we're not going to be contending for the playoffs next year. We're going to be, a potential lottery team. Because it's like, why are we talking about reaching the cap floor by taking on a retired player's contract?
Oh, man, dude.
And then also not trading Donato. Like, all these signs point to another down year.
Why are you saying this right now, man? Why are you doing this to me?
He's completely right.
Well, look at all the cap space we have, dude. Are you thinking that?
Well, not now that you just took $7 million.
That was to get to the cap floor. We still have like over $30 million of cap space, probably more than any other team, at least up there.
If you were seriously trying to turn it around this year, this offseason, you wouldn't have done that though.
McKenna, oh my! I don't care how good Gavin McKenna is, man. I don't want another season like this. You know who doesn't want another season like this? Fucking Connor Bedard, man. Oh wow, we have a 25% chance at my fifth cousin, like you would say. Oh yeah, let's see. I'm totally bought in, man. Let's do it. Nah, I think for his mental health.
I don't like it. Like I'm not agreeing with it, but that's just what it looks like right now. Unfortunately, it really does.
Yeah, Misa will save us. That's okay. We'll be good, right? Mitch Marner's coming. Delusion.
Man, I just wanted it to be over after this year. Like I wanted to at least start trying next year. And I'm just concerned that now it's like, now it really does feel like Mitch Marner or bust. And then it's like, if you don't get Marner, then what are you
who's going the tier 2 guys?
Are you going after Ehlers, Bennett, Boeser? Are you going after fucking all of them? Like,
what about your boy?
You know
what I'm talking about?
Boy?
Brady.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Yeah, they did. We wasn't very happy about Josh Norris being traded.
Something that I tweeted out was just that Brady was clearly in tears talking about Josh Norris leaving. That's like his best friend on the team. If Ottawa's not able to make the playoffs this year, Brady Tkachuk is going to be fucking furious and like not in a good spot. I'd throw anything at him. I would throw anything at him.
Would you sacrifice family members to make it happen?
Yeah, sure.
You would. Okay. Well, now we know.
So, and something we can get into now as it pertains to the Blackhawks and where they go from here. Actually, filibuster for a second. Keep talking.
I just so somebody in chat just said Marner and Brady T would be insane. I just don't think they're clearly not gonna go for like two big dogs this offseason just by that Shea Weber move. Like I really feel like
you're overthinking this Shea Weber thing.
Why?
They had to get to the floor.
It's not counting against the cap, guys.
Yeah, you're and I know that. I'm
Shea
trying to
Weber's
explain
not
that.
playing. Shea Weber's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He hasn't played since 21.
I think
it's just like it just feels like moves that are like you're not actually trying to do anything.
It's more about actual money paid out.
Yeah, and plus, you get, two potential, flyer late prospects to throw some darts at. Something interesting about Soderstrom, I think he was 11th, and that was the 2019 draft, right? So he's picked 2 spots before Spencer Knight. Kind of an interesting little fun fact there. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to do some questions actually first because it is Friday. We answer questions every Friday.
Oh boy.
So it's a lot of deadline stuff. It's a lot of the stuff we're talking about. So I figured let's just get it in question form here from our CHR enjoyers. Remember everybody, make sure you DM us your questions at our Instagram at Chicago Hockey Radio. We answer them every Friday. You can also join our Discord and Raven puts up a nice mailbag weekly. So we will be pulling questions from there. All right. Question number 1, Friday question. If Rantanen and Marner don't reach the market, where do the Blackhawks go from there? I don't feel like they can rely on a rookie forward like Misa or Higgins to just come and be the guy for Bedard right away. Who else is a possible trade option for them?
Well, Mitch Marner's not off the table yet, so him. But yeah, to answer his question, I mean, he's already kind of, Nostradamus over there. Saying one of them's already up the table. We kind of just talking about this.
We were talking about it before the show a little bit too, but and I brought this up, and obviously Mikko Rantanen gets dealt to the Dallas Stars. We haven't actually said those words exactly on this show, but I'm pretty positive everybody watching this right now knows that. And he subsequently signs an 8-year, $12 million per year extension with the Stars. My point about Mitch Marner is that now if you're the Maple Leafs, and I understand there's different things at play, Dallas is a no-tax state. Toronto, there exists a lot of different things with Mitch in the market. But if you are Toronto now, you go to Mitch, and that's at least where you're starting the conversation at, right? Is 8 times 12. Where before, it was almost like a game of chicken between the two of them. Like if both of them got, like if Rantanen went to July 1st, it would have been a lot harder for the Maple Leafs to pinpoint a number for him. Mitch Marner could have been like, I'll take 14. I'll take 14 and a half, right?
This Rantanen thing, though, like, we got to get more into this. I know it's like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, all this drama for $12 million. You're telling me Colorado couldn't just pay him that? Like, what's the deal with that, man? I know the tax is a big thing, like you just said, but, and how does that affect Marner is what you're saying, right? What number do they put it at? I mean, his agent's probably pretty thrilled about that, right?
I think
his agent's probably not. Marner's probably isn't.
No, yeah, Marner's bummed. You got to assume.
That's true.
Even though I kind of saw the opposite sentiment on Twitter, it's like, what? Like, $12 million that's not helping out Mitch Marner at all.
No.
Like I feel like that's probably what the Maple Leafs were planning on offering him anyway.
And now you're like, now you can go to him and say, Mikko Rantanen just took 8 times 12.
We're not
Here
giving
you
you
go.
13 and a half, buddy.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, it's
sorry.
Canada too. Yeah, so big difference there. I thought it'd be like we were talking about Rantanen all the time as an extension. I think we were in like the 13, 14 range, not 12.
I was almost in the 15 range.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's all. That's what this is all about. That's gonna be a hell of a rivalry there. Hopefully they play each other in the playoffs. That'd be fun.
I think Rantanen thought he was going to get a certain number, and he was like, I'm going to test it and find out. And then none of the teams that offered him anything were getting close to that 14 and a half. And so he ended up taking 12. Like, I really do wonder if he could go back in time to like a month and a half ago, you know, if he found out that he was just going to be signing $12 million in Dallas, if he would have just signed the contract in Colorado. Like, it feels like he just went through all of this just to sign a contract that he probably could have gotten from the team he's been at and won a cup with.
And how often do you see a player of this caliber playing 3 different teams in one season? Like, that's kind of unforeseen. I'm pretty sure I said in our clip that we posted, I mentioned one team to look at, you know, in anticipation of the trade deadline. I'm pretty sure I said the Hurricanes to see if they, you know, dealt Rantanen again. So I think I cooked with that one. Yeah.
We'll have a larger Mikko Rantanen discussion and what this means for the Hurricanes. But just to go back to the question, like, what do the Hawks target now?
Yeah, that's kind of the question here, right?
I mean, dude, it really, we're kind of talking in chat right now. It does feel like it's Marner or Tank, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
to me at least, because it's like unless you don't get Marner and then you bring in like 3 of those B+ guys, what's the point?
But isn't that what you did this past season almost?
Yeah, so it feels like it's Marner or Tank.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably rate Ehlers though. Like probably like that's like a Tavo sign. That's pretty solid. Like he's worked out.
Yeah, but that's not, dude. That's not
Mitch
moving
Marner.
That's not
I know.
moving the needle.
I'm just saying. Like it's I don't know if it's a skies falling type situation. If Marner, you know, obviously that would be ideal if we got him. But if not, I don't think it's the end of the world either here. You know. But I think you all underestimated Michael Misa, by the way. I think he could totally slide in next year. I'm not saying he's going to be like impact player guy right away.
Guy.
No, but he could come in and be a Calder threat and put up drop 50, 60 on the top line. I think. Yeah.
What if he's not ready though? And
well, what if? It's always if, right? We'll find out. We'll see.
well, but I'm not banking on.
No, I'm not banking. I'm just
maybe
saying,
getting
like,
Michael Misa, because we don't even know where we're going to end up drafting. Like, what if we slide down a couple spots and we're picking 4th?
Oof.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're not wrong, but why are you trying to speak that into existence, man?
I'm not trying to speak it into
this disastrous season. If we don't get a top 3 pick, man.
I'm just not being optimistic about what just happened at the deadline. Like, I'm not happy with what happened. I really felt like Ryan Donato should have been dealt.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. You know, I'm just trying to think long term where we go from here, right? The next moves. I think we'll know more when we get that extension going. I'm sure that probably is on the docket pretty soon here. You have to think. I knew that Donato was probably getting extended when I saw on the Hawks X and Facebook, Twitter pages that there was a picture of Donato in the handshake line. It was like, I guess you could view that 2 ways. That could have been a farewell thing too. But I saw that, I'm like, I don't think that'd be up there if they were planning on trading him there. Yeah, not to be LeBron James out here, but when I saw that, I was like, okay, they might be keeping him. Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
What?
What? Who are you just saying?
Were you not listening to me?
No, I didn't hear the name.
Ryan Donato.
Oh, okay.
They had a picture of him on the Hawks X page, and you could check there. I'm sure it's still there. I saw that yesterday. And, I don't think you'd have a picture of a player like as a profile as a guy you'd just be trading. You know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know.
When we were at Midwest Coast, they had there was a commercial for ticket sales for the Blackhawks, and it was Ryan Donato featured in the commercial. And that in my head, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Maybe reading a little bit into it, but
I don't think so. No, I don't actually.
I think everybody's in the know for this stuff, man. You tell me that those people doing that the socials don't have somewhat of a clue what's going on with them. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know. As someone who does what I do, I look at all the little things like that. Little signs in terms of where the team's pointing. Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Fraser Minton is a part of the deal to bring Brandon Carlo into Toronto.
Oh, you called that one.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that now? Not too good?
I like Fraser Minton.
Yeah.
I just every time they make a deal with the Bruins, I just see it like coming back to bite them in the rear end. The Phil Kessel deal. The Phil Kessel deal, not to do Maple Leafs talk in the Hawks Hour, but like they traded Phil Kessel for 2 first-round picks to Boston. Those 2 first-round picks became Dougie Hamilton, Tyler Seguin.
Well, that's pretty funny. Yeah, two players. Yeah, I mean, they're two pretty damn good players. Unfortunately, they kind of panned out more elsewhere, relative to Boston, right? So that's pretty fascinating, actually. Yeah.
So, as far as the Blackhawks go, maybe there's a trade out there. I don't know if you guys still have any interest or would even touch Elias Pettersson, maybe with a 10-foot pole.
I don't know about him, man. It's gotten to a point where his season's been so disastrous, and obviously trading the so-called, perceived locker room cancer there. I think it turns out maybe it wasn't JT Miller. Maybe he is the problem there. Well, look, I mean, change of scenery, that could be all he needs, right? It's easy to forget this is a guy who, was a 100-plus point player a couple of years ago. So, I mean, the thought of him, rediscovering his game in Chicago with Bedsy, that could be an option on the table here in terms of a tier 2 guy who could be a tier 1 guy. But man, he's had a rough season, dude. But you know what? I wouldn't be opposed to taking that risk for the right return.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is if we don't get Marner and we go for a bunch of these tier 2 or 3 guys, are we going to end up overpaying for every single one of them?
Probably.
You probably have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to
I
get
don't
them
love
to come
that.
here. Yeah. Well. And
Then you have to make a trade.
Or
You
just
missed out on Dylan. Well, or you're tanking for Gavin McKenna.
Yeah.
Because you missed out on Dylan Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
I am stunned you couldn't put up a competitive offer for Dylan Cousins.
Yeah, I thought there'd be some quarter because obviously we bought with Spencer Knight. I thought there might be another kind of trade like that on the docket for a player. There was another guy in Buffalo. You mentioned Dylan Cousins. I thought maybe there was something you could have taken a run like a JJ Paterka or somebody like that. You could have thrown in Donato at that first we just acquired from Florida or whatever else. Sweetener, Reichel, whatever you got to do. Surprised there wasn't a type of move like that on the docket. So it just means we're working the offseason, right? Yeah.
Maybe if there's a team like the Islanders that decides, I know they sold on Brock Nelson, and the Islanders are so weird. There's a perception of teams right now in the NHL that a lot of teams don't want to commit to a full-fledged rebuild right now that probably should. I think about the Islanders, they probably should.
Penguins.
I think about the Penguins for sure, although I think Kyle Dubas has started to shift that mentality a little bit. I think a team like the Rangers should go full-fledged rebuild. We talked about this on Monday. I think Vancouver is dangerously close to that point right now. I don't know what other teams really, but there are probably other teams in the NHL that you got to take a hard look in the mirror here soon enough. Yeah. The Bruins probably. Yeah. But you're not going to get David Pastrnak out of Boston. You're not going to get Igor Shesterkin, and you don't need him if you're Chicago now out of the Rangers. Maybe eventually you could get a guy like Adam Fox. Maybe you could get a guy like Lafreniere. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking of who is going to fire sale enough where there is a big star in the market or a young star. That's why I keep bringing up Elias Pettersson, because I think you could probably get him out of Vancouver for the right price right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's I think it's a very realistic thought out there. I'm sure a lot of teams are thinking about that fifth situation there. It feels like only a matter of time that he's out of there at this rate. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I think there's probably a lot of teams.
What would the package be though? It wouldn't just be like a Ryan Donato. It would have to be like one of our promising prospects.
We have so much draft capital.
You'd probably have to offer up a decent amount, a decent offer, and then it's still a gamble with Elias Pettersson, because it's like this might be a guy whose mental is just completely compromised and just does not have winning character, making $11.5 million a year.
Yeah, that is the other thing that we have to think about here is the contract. Yeah, you just said it, $11 million. People want to play out the Seth Jones contract. I think that would get a few complaints. The Seth Jones of forwards contracts there. Also a 26-year-old, just like Seth Jones when we signed him. So I guess it comes to if you think he's going to get out of there or not. If not, then that can kind of backfire. Yeah.
What are you willing to give Mitch?
Whatever he wants.
What does that mean?
The salary?
$15 million.
Really?
The salary cap's going to be going up, and the Hawks are going to have a hell of a lot of salary to work with. So if there's any team that should be able to give Mitch, pretty much whatever he wants, it should be the Hawks. There's going to be a lot of teams in them. Hawks aren't going to be the only team that can afford him, but they definitely have a better situation compared to most, I would say. I wouldn't rule it out. For the least, they're going to do whatever they can to bring him back, but it definitely feels like there's a lot of eggs in this Mitch basket here. If that doesn't pan out, then yeah, that becomes tricky.
I think Honestly, now that we're talking about Mitch and Rantanen, I think Rantanen signing that low helps us in the sense that I feel like Mitch is more likely to leave Toronto.
If he does, then it's more about the money
Yes.
than it is.
Because the first round exit help with that.
It was always going to be about the money.
I think if the Maple Leafs lose in the first round, then they are going to say, "Hey, like this just isn't working."
That's what I'm saying, and I think, excuse me, that's a pretty realistic outcome to hope for because they're pretty good at doing that. I think only one time in the last 8 years they've advanced past the first round. So if we're praying on the Leafs downfall to get Mitch and Hawks uni, I think we're not being so delusional. Delusion.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting situation because the relationship between Mitch and the Maple Leafs is always, it's a thing, right? He's a Toronto boy. He takes a lot of criticism in the media. He is somebody that clearly reads what and hears what is going on. You know, like when you have a guy like William Nylander say, like, I don't really listen to it. Like, you're almost positive that William Nylander doesn't listen to it. But when Mitch is like, we don't listen to what's going on outside the room, you're like, okay, Mitch, you're definitely listening to every single thing that comes out. So I think it gets to him a little bit more. And if they lose, the team will say no. If it's about money now, then he will leave too. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting.
I will say another big picture thing here. Like, it's easy to be all doom and gloom right now because I think we can all agree this trade deadline probably was a little underwhelming today for the Hawks. But, you know, let's not forget what happened 1 week ago. I mean, we offloaded Seth, majority of that contract, got our potential franchise goalie. If we're looking the entire trade deadline, not just today, I think the Hawks won. Like, let's not forget about that here. Like, I think we got to be a little more, you know, let's be realistic about, you know, maybe today didn't go the way we wanted, but I think long-term, big picture-wise, you know, this isn't Chicken Little. The sky is not falling here. I think we're in a good place, and I think, you know, Kyle's cooking something here. I hope, for his sake, you better hope that because I don't think we can afford to have. If it's true, if y'all think that, you know, it's tanking next season, I don't think he's going to keep his job if we're in the race for Gavin McKenna next year. Like, I think we do have to be better. Not saying playoffs, but better.
I think keeping his job for another tank season is about how well you communicate it.
Yeah.
The coaching
You know what I mean?
You're going to have to sell me on it.
Yeah, if you're talking to the Wirtz family and you're saying, hey, couldn't get Rantanen, couldn't get Marner, like, what do you want me to do here? Like, let's just go get this kid who's supposed to be unbelievable next year. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably how you keep your job in saying, hey, if Mitch Marner doesn't make it to the market, how am I supposed to be able to throw everything I can at him if he's not even there?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'm not one who falls for the, you know, the sensationalism around Bedard. Like, I think he's in the know more than people think of this Hawks rebuild. I think he's bought into it. You know, I don't think he's gonna. But a part of me does worry in the last year of his ELC if we're still in the draft lottery position. Like, a part of me does kind of. I'm not going to lie. Like, a part of me, that does concern me a little bit. I feel like we have to be showing some tangible signs of growth here. Like, we can't be 3 years of the same thing here, in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm off my docket there.
I don't think he can have too much ego, like, right now, especially the way he's playing. Like, we can't be just trying to appease Connor Bedard when he's on, like, a 6 or 7 game
But this would be year 4 of this, man, if we were in the kind of race. Like, year 4 being a bottom 3 team. Like, come on.
My only concern is, I have a lot of concerns. I don't know why I keep saying my only concern. I have several concerns. But just, like, we've got all these young prospects that are coming up through the pipeline. We're going to have even more, I would assume, somewhat NHL ready next year. Just Tyler Bertuzzi, Teuvo Teravainen, Nick Foligno, Jason Dickinson, Ilya Mikheyev, and then you're going to add Ryan Donato possibly to that crew too. It's like, it's so many names that are taking up roster spots that you're paying significant money to that are not young players. Like, I know that Tyler Bertuzzi might be a part of the plans in like 3-4 years, and maybe Teravainen too, but it's like, you know, what about all these young guys that we want to be playing top 6, like, important roles? Even if they're not amazing next year, you still want them learning at the NHL level. And I think that keeping all these guys up there and it keeps you from doing that.
Yeah, but that's a great point. Like I think we said, like a lot of that improvement is going to come naturally. It's not going to happen right away, but I think this team would be better off, letting the kids cook. We want to see a younger roster, right? And by keeping a lot of these guys around, it kind of makes that trickier to do. And I think we will see a lot of guys, in the prospect system in Rockford, make that jump next year full time. So I don't really love keeping guys that you don't have to for that perspective. We don't have a future here. Aren't real Blackhawks, as we would say. But anyway,
I just like Leafs. I mean, Bruins getting a first-round pick and Fraser Minton for Brandon Carlo is just nuts.
Is it?
I just
A big right shot defenseman?
I don't know.
6'4", 220 pounds.
Ryan Donato, $2 million player, over 40 points this year, can play anywhere in your lineup.
Listen,
can play
do you
center,
think
can play on the
if
wing.
CHR is sitting here talking about the regression of Ryan Donato, you don't think NHL teams also are aware?
I think like
Dude, what are we talking
never
about?
underestimate the stupidity of NHL GMs, man. Though that must be said.
Beauvillier got a second-round pick. Like, this was a seller's market. Stop doing the Ryan Donato. Like, I promise you there was a first-round pick offered for Ryan Donato.
Well,
I literally promise you.
Wasn't that what they said they were looking for, though? So if there was, then why didn't he take it? Like, I don't think there was then.
That's why I'm worried.
That's why
I'm worried. Like, we were asked at the live show kind of how we feel about Kyle Davidson. And I feel like over the past couple weeks, it's gone like...
That's a roller coaster.
And right now, we're on the decline with my it's not all the way in the shitter. His seat's not super hot yet, but it's like this feels like one of the decisions does not help his case.
Okay, for me though, when I look at these two, I think the two biggest things happen this deadline: the Seth Jones Knight trade, the Donato not trade. For me, the Jones Knight thing gets more props for me than not trading Donato. Like I think Katie's still like. Do I like both moves? No, but it's like I think if I have to look at a more positive or negative outlook of this deadline, it'd still be more positive for me. Like I think we can't forget about that here. Recency bias is a hell of a drug. I don't know. Just saying.
Okay. Where do we want to go from here? Because we have about 10
there were
minutes
some
or
like
so before we go to break.
minute news things here. Hawks made a couple roster moves. Doc Delmastro sent down. That's just for AHL. Calder Cup playoff eligibility, right? So that's all that is. Foligno's back from injury tonight. Dickey should be back soon as well on this road trip, and Spencer Knight starting tonight. Spencer Knight, baby. Let's not forget about him, baby. So, no, I think that's a positive. Good to see him back in that. Also, Anthony C was sent down too. I forgot about that one. Just some, clean up there. Yeah.
So, even before the Mrazek trade tonight, it seemed pretty much well known that the Knight Soderblom tandem was going to be what the Hawks were going to go forward with here. Charlie Roumeliotis had a couple of quotes here about Peter Mrazek. Obviously, this came before the move. Peter Mrazek on his positive mindset, despite being the odd man out. I've been in way worse situations in my career. I'm a positive person. It's still a great day to be around. The job we have to enjoy it. And I believe people are positive. Good things happen. Definitely not in a bad mood or anything. And then he understands Chicago's decision to roll with Spencer Knight and Arvid Soderblom. Sody and Spence are young, and they have their whole career in front of them. I'm going to be here to support them, and I'm going to be happy around them. Make sure they feel comfortable. Obviously, he won't have to be doing any of that now. But
what a great guy, though.
What a duality there. Like that's a leader right there. That's a class act. Night and day from Seth Jones' comments there. So look, Mrazek, I've critiqued his play before. I think we have, but I don't think we critique his character. I think that's a guy who, I was happy. The streets won't forget last season, Peter Mrazek especially. Like this year is a bit of his struggle, but yeah, he was pretty damn good last year for us.
Yeah, streets won't forget his performances last year.
And then we rewarded him with a nice contract, and they regressed to the mean. Hopefully that won't happen again, right? I wonder what I'm possibly referring to there. That's another point, though. It's like, okay, we're going to put this faith in Donato here. You know what I want to see? He's got a hot stick right now. Who doesn't have a hot stick right now is in a 7-game pointless streak, Connor Bedard. All right, we're going to keep Donato? Okay, fine. Put him up there with Connor Bedard. Get him out of this slump. Let's make Betsy happy here. We kept his guy. He said he's a big fan of his. Fantastic. Great. Let's put the guys on this team who are producing and play him with Bedard.
See, but
Turbo, Donato.
That's my concern is like we're already talking about Donato on the first line.
Well, look, this is where we are. Like we can't go back on this.
True.
This is what we're doing. So we got to make the best of this situation. KD, you put your faith in Ryan Donato. Let's see it. Let's see it out here.
Mark Lazarus tweeted, currently on the Blackhawks payroll, Shea Weber, Mikko Rantanen, Seth Jones, Jake McCabe, Josh Bailey, the figment of our imagination that is Laurent Brossois.
Yeah, let's not forget that he still exists allegedly. Hawks got a pretty good. They got a pretty good team that's on the payroll here, right? The former Blackhawks team, by the way, like they build an all-star team here. We've seen Denal Bedard many times and nothing happens. I disagree. I mean, I think at times they've shown pretty good chemistry with each other, and then Sorensen decides to go away from it. So, I think you'd see him cook if you held on to it for more than one game in a row here, but that never happens at Bedsy. So, anyway, he's freshly extended, should be in a good mood, should be pretty, want to prove himself, right? I mean, I'm sure a lot of Hawks fans, he'll want to be proving himself to the team and all that. So let's ride the hot hand here. First line at Bedsy. Let's see it.
So, all right, let's do some clips. Can we hear Anders Sorensen on Wednesday night's loss to the Senators, please, Raven?
Pat was talking about how you guys battled in this one, so a tough way for it to end.
Yeah, third period, second and third period, good, right? And show some resilience to come back in that game, a team that's hard to score against, and found a way to tie it up.
Do you have any explanation on the game winner?
It didn't. It's we can't, we thought it was goal interference, but, they called a good goal on the ice, and they looked at it, and then that was it.
Do you see anything with maybe a kicking motion as well on that?
I think, yeah, but that was, I think, on accidentally maybe, but his stick kind of goes through Sodi, right? So, I don't know if he's pushed in there, or if that's what they're seeing or what.
You guys starting to feel a little cursed on these reviewed goals?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah. It seems to be hard to, if they call it a goal on the ice, it doesn't seem to come back very often, right?
I can't be asked to analyze another Sorensen fucking interview. This guy
we
has
got a whole 25 games
This
left
guy
of
in the
this.
chat is saying it. Sorry to cut you off there, Lee, but this guy in chat, I couldn't say any better myself. From Nice14, I don't care about any offseason addition. A good coach is the most important thing. If we have a bad coach and a good team, we can still suck. Yeah, pretty much. Like, no more Sorensen. We can't have another coach like this. I think that's the thing we're underestimating too. Like, having an actual competent coach will be able to get the best out of this team, and that in itself will be a big improvement. Now, continue thought.
I was just going to say, this guy doesn't answer a single question. He just explains the scenario that they're asking him about. They're like, any explanation on that overtime goal? No, he kind of got pushed and skated into the goaltender, and we thought it was maybe interference.
I thought it was goal interference.
Yes,
You gotta stand that business.
but he didn't. Maybe a little more insight on what the conversations with the officials were,
I thought they gave up on a little too soon.
Like, we
there,
saw
yeah.
what happened. We agree with you. Like, that was all. There was nothing. Like, you didn't say anything to them. Like, I don't know. I feel like
Just kind of threw in the
Blackhawk coaches
towel.
of the past would have been screaming at the refs and would have demanded some sort of explanation. It just feels like he didn't get one, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine Coach Q in that situation? I don't think he would have taken it that well. But
Anders Sorensen talks like I talk in my dreams.
yeah, it was just he gets cucked, Yeah.
All right. Next clip, Connor Bedard on recent struggles.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. I think, in the last couple, probably like 3 or 4 of the games, I think they created a little bit. And, obviously in the end, got to create more and try to have more of a impact on the game offensively. But, I don't think I'm getting 0 looks and anything. I think I'm making the odd play that is a chance to go in and hasn't. So it'd be nice to get a point or score a goal, of course, but just keep chipping away.
Is there anything you feel like it's changed since before the break when you were producing quite a bit in those past couple months?
Bro,
I'm not sure. I'm trying to play similar style and similar way, and it just hasn't gone as well. And it's something that I gotta figure out, and just keep trying to figure out where I'm going wrong, and be better.
bro, these media members are just trying to make the kid as miserable as possible.
Yeah, they ask great questions over there, don't
Well,
they?
what are they supposed to ask him?
I don't
It's the
fucking
same
know,
thing
man.
all over again,
Come up with a
man.
better question then.
Here's the thing, though.
It's not my job.
It could be.
There is something to be said for this.
Yeah,
though.
and I won't be like, oh, yeah, dude, so you've played pretty fucking dog shit since the Four Nations break. Any explanation for what that's all about? Like,
I will say, like, there, you know that this narrative would have existed if the Hawks did trade Donato. Oh, look at the Hawks again, trading Bedard's only help, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, if there's one positive here, it's a guy who's got along with in the room, maybe can build some chemistry with, maybe help him out in a situation like this, right? So I think for Bedsy, I mean, look, I do think he's right. Like, I think this is kind of is on him at this point, like, and he's going to figure it out. I don't think he needs to be told that. I don't think he needs, broadcasters telling him that. He's well aware of it. He's going to figure it out. So, I think it's kind of just on him. Yeah, at this rate.
All right. Hawks play Utah tonight. Any thoughts, expectations, predictions, ideas, musings before we got 5 minutes before we get to go break?
We got Hawk Utah too tonight. So we'll see. I think that's our third time playing them. So I think they're 0-2 in the season series here. So maybe we're 0-1. It's a pretty important game for Utah, right? Obviously, they're only a couple spots out of a playoff race here. So they did just play last night though against the Red Wings. So maybe they're a little tired. Maybe that's something Hawks take advantage of. I'm definitely on nothing there. But yeah, Spencer Knight and Nets. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Line combos, we'll see. I know Doc was up there, but they just sent him down. So we'll see who's on the other wing of Bedsy and Nazar. Should be Ryan Donato for Smart, or Tavo is cooking, but it probably won't be. It'll probably be some random plug or something in the third, fourth line playing up with him, because that's what we do here. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it should be a fun one.
I think Ryan Donato should be buried on the fourth line for the rest of the year. I'm serious. So for the past couple weeks, months, whatever, anytime Ryan Donato's done something good, we said, upping the trade value. Yeah. Now that the window's passed, you're just giving him leverage to ask for more money.
I see what you're saying. Then extend him now. Then extend him right now.
Anything Ryan Donato does well from now until he's signed is
Get him signed before this game.
Good for us. So fucking scratch Donato tonight.
The trade deadline's done. We're sticking with him. Don't wait. Just get it signed now then, because I don't want to be boring about that.
You got to get it signed as soon as possible. We need to know. I need to know what the term's going to be, how much you're going to offer him, and I need to also know what the hell went wrong and what you weren't able to get.
Somebody in chat say, can't wait for Valeno Bedard line number 42 in the season. Oh my goodness, man. Oh, jeez.
Go Tavo, Frank, and Bedard.
Tavo's been cooking, man. Why are we not playing a Bedard? It makes zero sense. I don't understand it. It baffles my mind that, dude, we're podcasters and we can make better line combinations than Anders Sorensen. He'll be getting ready to learn Chinese over there with Luke Richardson.
We're going to do more league trade talk, right? In the NHL.
Oh, yeah, we have plenty to get to.
Yeah.
Okay,
that is kind of what it's for a little
just
bit.
Because I was about to ask a question.
Any score predictions for tonight, Hawks, Utah?
I'm going to guess that we lose tonight. I don't know. I feel like with a lot of the stuff that's happened today, questions, weird vibes, I don't know.
Well, we got Knight tonight, so I think we're going to win. I say Hawks win 4-2.
I'll say 3-1
Utah.
Utah.
Fair enough. All right.
I'll say 4-2 Utah.
All right, Hawks get Utah.
All right. Anything else, fellas, before we hit a break?
We got plenty to get to in the NHLR.
Yeah. All right. We will also answer some remaining questions off the top of the hour, too, because we only really got to one. Excuse me. Gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
God bless you.
We're going to take a quick break. Stick around on the other side of NHLR of Chicago Hockey Radio. You're watching and listening to CHR. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to the NHL Hour, Chicago Hockey Radio, NHL Trade Deadline Edition. Lee Grossman, Justin Lynch. My name is Tassos Kirkos, and we got Raven Gasser producing for us today and every day. All right, fellas, it's the NHL Hour. Please also subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and all that jazz. Download our episodes on Apple Podcasts. Helps us out a lot. All right, where do you fellas want to begin? It seems like we're still getting responses as far as what returns are for Brad Marchand and a few others as well, although it seems like the Maple Leafs sent a first-round pick in Fraser Minton and Connor Timmins to the Boston Bruins for Brandon Carlo. Also, quick one here, Daniel Sprong being sent to the New Jersey Devils. Maybe we start there a little bit. Not with Daniel Sprong in particular, but the New Jersey Devils, they went out, they got Brian Dumoulin for a second-round pick. I feel like they were also in on something else too. I need to pull it up.
Yeah,
but
that'll fill in their Jack Hughes out for the season injury. They're saved.
They got Cody Glass for a third-round pick from the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's kind of interesting to me a little bit, only because they're still buying when I think we can all agree that
they're cooked.
Yeah. Doesn't it seem like that a little bit?
Maybe they're just preparing for next year. I don't know, because it's not like they're actually
These are
think
major
they're
additions.
Gonna,
Really, that's going to move the needle right now, but it could down the line.
They were also apparently in on Ryan O'Reilly. They were doing a little research on that, so I just am kind of curious, maybe what you guys, think about the Devils, and like they're done. Right?
I don't think much of the Devils is my answer. I think we're all on the same page here. They're cooked. They're not going anywhere in the playoffs. Without Jack Hughes, you're just not replacing that. So they're first round exits if they even make it to the playoffs.
I think it's so interesting because a couple of weeks ago we were talking about I brought up the idea of like the 2-3 matchups in each division. Yeah. Like you want to avoid the 2-3 matchups. If you're the Maple Leafs, you don't want the 2-3 matchup. If you're in the Metro, like that Carolina Hurricanes, New Jersey Devils first round matchup was looking scary. The Central Division, the same thing. The Pacific Division, the same thing. Now you're looking at that potential 2-3 matchup with Carolina and New Jersey.
It's kind of a buy. Like if I'm Carolina, I'd almost rather play New Jersey than like a wild card.
But even now without Mikko Rantanen, like that matchup went from what it could have been 2 weeks ago to now no Rantanen, no Jack Hughes, like pass.
Yeah, Carolina feels kind of cooked too here. I mean,
the Metro just doesn't move me. Like nobody in the Metro moves
me.
Even
the President's Trophy winners, if they do beat the Jets for that, the Capitals, I still think they're not a playoff team either. I think they're going to be frauds too. So yeah, I think it's definitely the Atlantic's to lose. I mean, even the Leafs out take over really any of these teams in that division, which is saying a lot. Atlantic's the Florida teams are definitely stacked. Florida, holy. They are really, coming on strong for this back-to-back Cup run here. So that's gonna be something to watch for sure.
Yeah, it's like the Caps. What was their big move? Anthony Beauvillier.
Yeah, that'll really Blackhawks legend. That'll move the needle for them. I mean, I guess they felt with their position in the standings, maybe they didn't have to make a major move. Like the chemistry is strong there. Like don't screw with it. But I don't know. I still think these teams loading up here. I don't know if I take them over any of those Atlantic teams.
It's just like the Atlantic and the Central have just completely loaded up, and then the Pacific and the Metro are just kind of all just sitting there watching them do it.
Well, it kind of feels like a Central Atlantic division is the division matchup in the Cup is inevitable. Like I think those two divisions are so much stronger compared to the Pacific and like you said, the Metro. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't really understand the mentality out of the teams in the Metro and the Pacific. Like, it just feels like a little unserious. Like, I don't know. I felt like Washington, they have the potential to do something, but they just like not making any big moves doesn't really make you feel like they believe it. Or maybe they really have that much trust in the team that they think they can go all the way. I guess now
maybe that's what maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like a mandate to the team that like they're putting their trust in them. Like this is on you guys. Maybe Alex Ovechkin's going to ride that goals record of the playoffs and go on a Lynn Sandy, Conn Smythe run there and take him to the top there.
I just think that the path for the Washington Capitals was so clear, especially with no Jack Hughes, and then after Rantanen gets dealt, it's like go for broke, because first round you might be up against the New York Rangers or the Detroit Red Wings, and then the second round you're getting, you know, the Devils without Jack Hughes or the Hurricanes without Mikko Rantanen. And it's like, that's I don't want to say that's 2 free rounds, but like that's almost 2 free rounds if you went out and got like a big name player or someone to really bolster your forward group. Like it was right there for you. It was an easy ticket to the Eastern Conference Finals. But now it's like with kind of standing pat and not really doing much, I still think that they're going to be good series.
I know I allude to the Hawks hour, but my gosh, I am so confused by Carolina, man. Like, what is this? Like, I've never seen anything like this before. Like, why not just ride it out, man? If it's Rantanen's a one who cares? Like, that's the best possible rental you could get. Like, that's a cup-winning move right there, potentially. It's just like, oh, a couple weeks didn't look good in the system. Oh, well, that's it. I mean, Stankoven's great. He's going to be a great player, but like, you know, they got the draft picks in there too. But like, you should be making win-now moves. This doesn't look like a win-now move to me. I don't know. I mean, that's a team that's come up short so many times. Same as the Stars. And there's the Stars on the flip side. It's like they're a team that's always been, you know, one step away, one stop short. And now it's like, I don't know what you guys think. The Stars would be my favorite in the Western Conference.
So want to go to both of those points really quick. Sticking with Carolina for a quick second, and then we can move off of them because I want to talk about Dallas. I want to talk about Colorado, and I want to get to the Maple Leafs later on. But for Carolina, you know, you acquired Jake Gensel last year, you lose him for nothing. You acquire Mikko Rantanen this year, you lose him for nothing if you hang on to him. Does that not, like, I understand, Justin, what your point is, and that you're not like, you're not going to get a better rental than Mikko Rantanen for sure. But don't you, like, I don't know, like, isn't it hard a little bit for Eric Tulsky to sort of look, you know, the owner in the eyes and say, like,
at least you tried.
Yeah.
You lose it for nothing, but at least you gave it your all for this playoff run. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to complain about it if you win the cup.
Because it does kind of feel like a haul. Like they got a ton back.
They do have Taylor Hall there.
More than I expected them to get back. But it's like, what's the vision now? Like, what direction are you going? What's the plan?
So what I think,
we know this team's not good enough to win the Stanley Cup, right?
Yeah,
we all know that.
No, they're not good.
We've seen it for the past 3 years, 4 years.
No,
we know they're not good enough.
No.
So what the other part about the Rantanen thing, like he almost didn't leave them with it. Like if this trade was done a few days ago, then maybe you could have parlayed those assets you got from Dallas into another player.
Yeah.
But you didn't have the time because of the timing of this and how long this dragged out.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
No,
you didn't have time. You didn't have time.
Yeah, that's fair.
This was done at noon today, our time.
I don't think we thought that Taylor Hall was going to be the biggest addition in that trade after all. And it turns out, no, yeah, he is. It looks like he wants to stay there. So maybe he'll be the answer there. Nah.
It's just like with Natchez leaving and then them dealing Rantanen again, it just feels like they are almost in like they're going to go for like a retooling or, you know, some sort of thing like that to try to get younger and maybe shuffle the deck again. Because if you're trying to win now, you don't make the moves that you made.
Yeah.
The other thing I will say about, you know, people have a bit of revisionist history with the Hurricanes and their relationship with Natchez. You know, remember last summer that was a very, very fractured relationship, and he wanted more power play time. He didn't like his fit in Rod Brindamore's system. And yes, he popped off at the start of this year, but keep in mind he's only on a 2-year deal with them because of what was a struggle last summer. And it's not like this guy was locked up to an 8-year deal. Like this guy had the opportunity to leave after next season for nothing.
But he was proving this year that when you put him in those opportunities, you give him the first power play unit line and the first line minutes and put him on the first power play unit. He's proved that he's the best producer on the team.
It's kind of working out pretty nicely there. Natchez is he's fit like a glove of that Colorado system, you know. And Rantanen maybe he's getting exposed a little bit as I'm a McKinnon merchant there, and he's probably not now. Now that he's free from that system in Dallas, he's probably going to go off and make me look stupid for saying that. But maybe it's going to work out fine for the Hawks. I don't know. Yeah.
So let's go to Dallas now. Obviously, they acquire Mikko Rantanen. They give up a really young, talented player in Logan Stankoven, as well as 2 first-round picks and 2 third-round picks to bring in the Finnish star. Obviously, he's going to join Roope Hintz and Miro Heiskanen with his countrymen there, and they've got Jason Robertson and Wyatt Johnston, who they also inked to a 5-year extension today, essentially killing Lee's dream of an offer sheet. Wondering what you got. Like, is Dallas the favorite now?
Yes,
they're the big winners of
senor.
the day too.
Yeah.
They're not just the favorite out of the West this year. I think that they're going to be perennial contenders. I think they're going to be a problem every single year for many years to come. And it's like you've got pretty much that entire young core now locked up.
Extended Johnston too.
Yep, and you got Mikko Rantanen now for 8 years. They're going to be good for a very long time.
You lost Stanko, and oh no, like you got Rantanen locked up. I think that's gonna pan out fine there. So it's just such a deep team. There's really no flaws there. The Jets, got a strong record, but tend to choke in the playoffs. I don't know if people are as sold on the Oilers this year, but again, the playoffs are a different game. We'll see how they look then. But just think the goaltending, I don't know, is a bit of a rough spot there. We'll see what happens from that front. You can never count Vegas out, but I mean Dallas. Colorado, though, there must be something to be said for Colorado. Are they legit? I think people are writing off Colorado a little too soon. I think they made some nice moves this trade deadline, and only a few years removed from that cup. And like when that top core is on there, it's hard to stop them. So I wouldn't rule Colorado out either in that fight in the West. That feels like the West a little more open than the East for sure.
I disagree.
You think so?
I disagree completely. I think the East is. I think the West is.
But we just talked
so
about how
loaded
shitty
up.
the Metro is. Like, we just talked about all those teams are frauds, and now we're saying that the West isn't more open.
But you have, like, for me, all of my Eastern contenders reside in the Atlantic Division right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Florida,
It's one.
Tampa,
It's one good
Toronto.
division here.
But one of those teams is going to get bounced in the first round.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
Florida and Tampa end up playing each other in the first round, one of them is gone.
The West is more loaded than the East.
That's what I just said.
When you say something's wide open, that means that it's like
Like it's
Anybody
anyone's
can take
game.
anybody can take.
Yeah,
it.
so there's more true contenders. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Maybe I
think
misinterpreted
we're just-
what
I
I was
think this
saying
is we're
Semantics.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, okay,
we're
maybe
talking about
different vocab.
Yeah,
there,
when
that's
I say something's
more
wide
open, like for what
there's less talent.
If I'm talking
so
about
like,
one
it's
team here, if I'm
easier
talking
to
about the
win.
whole division, like it's not wide open for one. Anyway, whatever. Anyway,
But I don't really even feel that way. Like, to me, when we did our 3 teams to watch, like my team was the Edmonton Oilers. They did not go out and do anything. They got Jake Wallman for a second-round pick yesterday.
was it?
They
Did they
got-
give up a first round or a conditional first?
or conditional first,
Which
something like
must
that.
be something to be said for that, man. That Jake Wallman's a defenseman. They're having a career year. He's kind of been a mid kind of second pair, third pair guy most of his career. Pops off with the Sharks, career year. It gets the Sharks a first round pick there. And there's another team. I think you know what I'm getting at there, probably.
Didn't
but,
the Red Wings give San Jose a second-round pick
That's
to
correct.
take
That's
Jake
correct.
Wallman,
Which,
and
how
then you
stupid does
flip
that
him
look?
for a first-round?
Yeah, what
incredible asset management by the Sharks, though.
And then now Peter Mrazek's gonna be the guy who saves you. Yeah, have fun there. What is the Iser plan anymore, man? Can anybody explain the Iser plan to me anymore? I don't think there is a plan there. Anyway,
I still view the Edmonton Oilers as cup contenders, though.
yeah,
I don't.
Yeah,
How?
They
How could
were
you
one
not?
game away last year, man.
I just think Vegas is way better than they were last year. I think Vegas really resembles their cup-winning team to me now.
Yeah, but Vegas
Dallas
is going to be
Dallas is a lot better now too.
Vegas is going to be playing Colorado in the first round.
That's gonna be a tough one.
It's Vegas, Colorado.
I could see Colorado winning.
Colorado could easily upset Vegas.
Whereas Edmonton's gonna play LA.
That is going to be the question for them. Is like, yeah, the second round is going to be tough, and then the conference final will be tough. But you got it. LA did fucking nothing. LA
they're gonna get
is
swept by the
they are
Oilers.
going to walk through with LA.
Like every year, fourth
They
year,
have-
it's gonna be the same thing.
I'm talking about a team with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, literally basically having a first round bye for all intensive purposes. They're a contender. They don't even have to play the first round because they're just going to walk through LA.
The regular season, like once you come playoff time, it doesn't really matter, man. Like that's when the Wolves separate themselves from the sheep there. So Edmonton's still a contender, 1,000%.
I think my contenders in the West are, for me, there's 4. It's Vegas, Edmonton, Dallas, and Colorado.
So let's stick with the Avs for a second because they were arguably the busiest adder over the last 20 or so hours here. They bring in Brock Nelson late into the night for Cal Ritchie and a first-round pick, which a lot of people are calling a bit of an overpay. I kind of agree with it too. If Brock Nelson's a pure rental, they bring in who else did they bring in? They brought in Charlie Coyle
That's right.
for Casey Middlestat, Will
Ryan
Zellers,
Lindgren as well. Yeah.
and they brought in Ryan Lindgren a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
They bring back Eric Johnson for Giovanni Smith, which is a good feel-good story for them. Is Colorado?
It's
Yes.
Like,
They're
they're deeper,
Yeah.
right?
they're deeper, and also just like these guys, they it's a playoff team now. Like the depth you have
healthy.
everywhere. When healthy, they've got size, they've got talent.
The
They
goaltending's
do
there now,
have
too.
everything. My only issue with Colorado is the gauntlet that they have to go through to get to the Stanley Cup final. Because realistically,
They're not going through Dallas.
The gauntlet right now for them is Vegas first round, Edmonton second, and then probably Dallas or Winnipeg in the conference finals, and then whoever you're playing in the Stanley Cup finals.
Even if they get through those two teams, good luck beating Dallas. It's
Yeah.
like, I see your point
It's
there.
it's an absolute gauntlet for them, but there's a contender. Like the roster is good enough to do it.
Like they honestly, they're more of a contender to me than the Jets. I don't care about the standings. I don't care what the standings say. Like I've seen this too many times. The Jets need to prove themselves come playoff time before I see them as a true contender, same as the Caps.
So here's how everything's lining up with the new additions: Lehkonen, McKinnon, Natchez, Nichushkin, Brock Nelson, Jonathan Drouin, Nichushkin, Brock Nelson, Jonathan Drouin, Logan O'Connor, Charlie Coyle, Ross Colton, and then a fourth line of Kiviranta, Jack Drury, Jimmy Vesey. That's a lot better than it looked. Remember,
like who's in those bottom sixes and those decors. Like
Ty
this,
Fellhaber.
there's no passengers there. Like this is a team built for the playoffs. They got depth now, which is something they didn't have before. So, and that's what that 2022 team had. So that's not the 2022 team, but it's probably as close as they've gotten to that since.
If you're betting a team in the West, though,
A sleeper.
it's no. Just like best value. I'm gonna pull up the odds right now just to win the West.
Is it Colorado?
But no, it's not Colorado. It's Dallas. Just because first round. What do you mean? What? First round, it's gonna be Minnesota. Then second round, it's winner of Winnipeg and Calgary Flames. Right, both doable. I don't have it up yet. And then whoever in the Western Conference Final, that's going to be like the first like really difficult matchup. Like I think Dallas will be able to beat Winnipeg easily. I think they're going to be able to beat Minnesota easily. I think that they have the most favorable route to the Stanley Cup Final.
Oh yeah, no, I think I thought like bang for your buck because I was thinking they'd have the best odds. Because for me, if I was making the odds, they would probably have the most. Even though standings wise they're behind the Jets, like I take them more seriously, and they're second there. So I'm just
They're plus 260.
that's what I mean. Like they have the best odds. So like when you say that, I'm thinking like sleeper. Like who's somebody you pick who might be underestimated?
Well, no, because I mean, I would never bet on the Avalanche there at plus 430 because of the route I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Edmonton's plus 360. I'd say Vegas is probably maybe
unfortunately
the best value there.
Vegas has the best odds. Shocker. There's nothing going on there.
No, they don't. But
So a couple of interesting notes here really quick, and something I want to clean up before I do want to have a discussion about the Winnipeg Jets. Looks like there is a deal in place to send Henry Jokiharju to Boston, although Darren Dreger that he cautions that he can't confirm that the deal beat the buzzer. And I actually screwed up the Maple Leafs deal for Brendan Carlo. It's just a first round pick and Fraser Minton to Boston, and then they are dealing Connor Timmins and Connor Dewar, a couple of Connors, going to Pittsburgh for a late round draft pick in order to clear cap space for Lawton. And Lee's favorite player in the NHL, Dennis Cholowski, is the most recent late deal going to the New Jersey Devils.
How do you feel about the Leafs, Tassos?
Look, if we're gonna, let's have the Leafs conversation before we get
just
into
get out of the way,
the
yeah.
Jets. Yeah, look, I like it. I said they needed two things: they needed a center, and they needed a big right shot defenseman to play with Morgan Riley. I think Scott Lawton. Like, look, you gave up 2 first round picks and arguably one of your top like tier prospects. You had Minton and Cowan in the top tier of prospects. So you had to give up one of them to get Carlo. I don't think Carlo's a pending UFA, right? If I'm not mistaken, he's not. I think he has another year left on his deal. So I do like the deal. Yeah, you know what? Like, I can't really complain about it. There were talks of Braden Shen potentially going to the Maple Leafs, and I heard that the asking price for Braden Shen was just outrageous, and I'm glad that they didn't overpay for a guy like Braden Shen. There were other guys out there that I'm glad that they didn't overpay for, especially when it was a seller's market, right? And, I wanted them to go get Luke Shen, and but Luke Shen ends up costing you a second-round pick if you're the Winnipeg Jets. Like, that's a lot for Luke Shen. You know what I mean?
The more I break down these trades, sorry to interrupt. Like, the more I break down these trades, the fact that it was a seller's market as we got into, like, man, I keep shaking my head. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this, but yeah, like Scott Lawton getting a first round pick. Like, I don't know, what are we doing here, Chicago? I mean, I feel like that was a missed opportunity, but
Brandon
it is what it
Carlo
is.
has 2 more years after this one.
See, that's a great deal then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's a really, really good deal. To only give up a first in Mitten, like Mitten's a fine player. Like Easton Cowan's been getting a lot of hate for like the World Junior stuff and the fact that he's a London Knight, but people use the World Juniors in Canada and the fact that he's a Maple Leafs pick and they like to like crap on him, but he has a lot
funny, man.
He has a lot higher of a ceiling, I think, than Mitten. I don't think Cowan is more boom bust for me. Like at this point, he could be like a 65, 70 point guy in the NHL. Whereas like Minton's probably going to hover around like the 35, 40 point mark as like a middle six kind of center. And I just think, if you're the Maple Leafs, you have to win now. Like this is the year. So I like the moves. I don't know how you guys feel about them.
My favorite Easton Cowan moment was we turned the puck over in an empty netter, and then Cole Eiserman just started yapping him. That was a hell of a moment there for the World Juniors. But unfortunately for the U.S., Canada would get their revenge later. But that's another story. Yeah.
How do you feel about the Maple Leafs moves?
I like them for Toronto. Like I think that it's just I think they need to get that first spot, and so that they're playing a wild card team in the first round, just to avoid having to play Florida and then Tampa or Tampa and then Florida.
The team means everything for them. You gotta win that division.
So if they win the division, I think that they're probably the best value bet in the East, just because I think they're one of the legit teams, and if they can have a pretty weak opponent in the first round, anything could happen. But yeah, I mean, not like I don't think they're a cup favorite now because of the moves, but you got to feel happy if you're a Toronto fan, I feel like.
I can't believe I'm saying this because they always choke come playoff time, but like the 2 Florida teams might be the only ones I'd value higher than the Leafs in terms of cup chances in the East. I think this could be different this year for sure. Strongest team they've had, best coaching they've had come playoff time. I like these moves. No, I think this, if any year is going to be the year, this is the one, it feels like. But we've been saying this. It doesn't really seem to matter what they do over there.
I think that if Toronto wins the division, I think I like their odds more than Tampa.
Yeah.
So they could be,
one of Tampa or Florida will be out in the first round.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep. Yeah, that's fair. But do you think we can pass either of those teams, though, is the question. That's a tough one.
If they play Tampa, I think they could.
Yeah, but Tampa's not going to be Florida.
And who knows? What if Bob gets injured, or what if Matthew Tkachuk is not ready till that's not like a what if. Like, those are super reasonable hypotheticals, considering you just have all your eggs are in the Bob basket, an old veteran goaltender. Those never get injured, right? And then Matthew Tkachuk is like, we don't. I know people are like, calm down. He's going to be ready. But we don't know that for certain. Like, even if he's ready, he's coming off of an injury and not playing for a month and a half. Like,
I would say that I would definitely root for that downfall. Honestly, I like Florida, but it'd be really funny if Bobrovsky. I never root for that kind of stuff. Like, if he did get injured, and it's like, oh, they could have just had Spencer Knight fill in, and then, well, I know they went out and tried to get their backups there, but I don't think any of them, Vanacek, Kakin, and those aren't Spencer Knights. So I think that could be a tricky situation for them if that does occur. And also, it'd be funny to see Seth Jones be a first round exit there.
Can we move back to the West really quick?
Yeah, do you want to talk about the Jets for a second?
I want to talk about the Jets and LA. We can do a little Jets talk. I saw somebody in chat was like, the disrespect for the Jets. I just don't think they did enough today, dude. Like, with how loaded the Central is now, with how many moves the Avs made, and even Vegas got a lot better, and obviously Dallas with Rantanen.
Brandon Tanev, he's got those cool pictures of his eyes wide open. He's a good glue guy, good locker room presence there.
He was a former Winnipeg Jet.
There you go. Tanev could be the answer to that. I'm just busting your balls. They got Luke Shen too, but this is 2025 here, so I'm not really sure if those are really moves that are going to move the needle there. But again, with the position they're in, top of the standings there, maybe they just felt they didn't need to do much. But I mean, we've seen this before,
which is crazy because I don't think that their top 6 is talented enough to even win a Stanley Cup.
The Jets?
Playoffs are a different ball game, man. I mean, it's worked out well for them. You know, they've had a nice regular season, but it's like, you know, a lot of that has also come through. It's a strong team, but a lot of it's also come through Connor. And, you know, it depends on if he's going to be the same goalie come playoff time, right? They do tend to overwork him there.
It's just they're going to have to get through Dallas and probably LA or Vegas or the Avs and then beat whoever in the finals. Like, I just don't see it happening.
It's going to come through Connor. Like, it's his legacy moment. Yeah. Hellebuck, not Bedard.
Or Kyle Connor.
Or, yeah, the Connors. Connor Square.
Connor.
There you go. The Connors. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it just feels like Winnipeg did a bunch of like the second tier kind of stuff that we were talking about. You know, Brandon Tanev for a second, Luke Shen for a second and a fourth. Like, you know, there were bigger moves to be made, and they went for sort of that next step below, right? I don't know. And it doesn't look like, with everybody else loading up around them, it doesn't really look like that could be enough, right?
Yeah. They needed to do more, in my opinion. And it's like if I'm picking teams as the regular season winds down and I'm betting on people, I'm not putting a single cent on Winnipeg just because I don't think that they're good enough to get through the gauntlet. It's not just about like yeah, they've got a deep team and they've played really well and Hellebuck has been amazing. And I'm not even doing like they always choke thing. I just don't think they're as good as a couple of other teams in the conference. Like, it's as simple as that. You have to win 4 playoff series. I don't think Winnipeg can win 4 playoff series. It's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, when you haven't done it too, and you've been to first round exits, it's like you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. You haven't show us. Show me.
Yeah.
Right. A different topic here, but that's one of the more interesting trades that we've seen today. It's one that's kind of still trying to kind of figure out more. It's kind of a swapping of, you know, players maybe need to change the scenery there. The Senators Sabres trade, that Dylan Cousins for Norris. There was more involved, but that's the, you know, basic trade there. That's interesting. I mean, obviously Brady Tkachuk wasn't too thrilled about it, right? You know,
We have the clip actually here of Brady Tkachuk. Can we hear that?
Emotionally, both the highs and the lows.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. So, yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, it sucks. Losing a guy like that, obviously everybody knows how much he means to me. So, yeah, next question.
Have you had a chance to talk to him?
Yeah, no, just spent the last whole bit with them and kind of take advantage of every minute the rest of the day.
When did you reflect on just the big picture of things? Like, why is it so emotional? Is it because you've played with him for so long?
Yeah, I mean, just just our history. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna keep them short and sweet.
When did you hear this was going to happen?
Yeah, right before practice. I think that's why we went on a little bit later, but yeah, tough practice today.
Travis Green says that of all players, he felt like you probably are the best suited for this, given your history, given that you know that this is part of the game. How do you reflect on that big picture of just the Senators trying to make this team better?
Yeah, it's the unfortunate reality of it being a business. We're getting back, important pieces that are really going to help us, and yeah, I mean, it sucks. It's part of it, but with Cuzzy and Gilbert, we're going to welcome them with open arms, and yeah, I feel bad a little bit that this is the initial reaction, and of course I think they're going to understand why it's a little bit of a whirlwind for me personally, and but with that being said, it's all about being a good captain, being a good teammate, and making sure that they have everything that they need, and have the support right from day one that they're going to be important pieces to our team, and yeah, just leave it at that.
Tough day.
That's
sucks.
a brutal clip, man.
That
Holy
one question
cow.
was one of the stupidest questions. Why are you so emotional right now? What do you mean
it's
why
his
are you
best
so
friend.
emotional right now? These robots here at these jobs, man. I don't know. But anyway, that was kind of sad. Listen, that made me almost want to tear up. But I don't know, it seems like, Ottawa, man. There's Brady Tkachuk. All of a sudden, I don't seem very happy over there. They're going to drive him out of town there. Chicago. That's our piece. That's our addition. If they miss the playoffs, that is. But yeah, from their perspective, like it's an interesting trade for me because like I feel like when Norris, when he's on, right, good goal scorer, but like he's had issues with staying healthy, and Cousins had a nice breakout year a couple years ago, but the last couple of years of Buffalo obviously haven't gone as well. But I would say of the two, he probably has the higher ceiling of the two. So the workhorse from Whitehorse, as you would say. So I think a change of scenery exactly what he needed. He had a really good. With Dylan Cousins, like I don't know if you guys watched the World Championships last year, but he was like Canada's best player by far. Also World Juniors legend as well. Like in the big moments, he seems to step up when he's on an actual good team around him. And this Sanders team, I feel like Brady Tkachuk could be perfect for him. Like that's a guy right there. I think he's a big winner. We'll see how that pans out for Norris. I kind of feel bad for him. He's getting banished to Buffalo. We know that tends to go for promising young players. So I'd say this probably will turn out better for the Senators compared to the Sabres. It's kind of been there, done that move for Buffalo.
I think with the second round pick, Ottawa definitely wins this deal.
Oh yeah.
But if they don't make the playoffs, man, Brady Tkachuk is going to be pissed.
Yeah, you think? Am I being delusional in thinking that? Like,
no, I mean,
that's be 8th straight year they missed the playoffs,
and they ship out his best friend too. Like,
okay, first of all, I will like the NHL is a business.
I'm not.
I
Dude, I'm not saying I'm not
that.
saying Ottawa's right to make this trade.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good trade for Ottawa.
But even Brady, like I get being emotional about it,
he's a captain
but like
too,
you got to snap out of it. Like you gotta snap out of it. You're a young captain of an NHL team. You're in a playoff spot as of right here, right now. You're in a playoff spot. You have one game in hand. You're tied in points with the New York Rangers, but you have a game in hand, so you're in that second wild card spot. Snap out of it.
Your best friend just got dealt.
You want to make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're telling me you don't think Brady Tkachuk thinks that they could have made the playoffs with his best friend as the second line center?
When he's in the lineup 40% of the time.
I don't really get like I don't know.
No, I think Ottawa stole this deal. Like, I don't think it was close. Unless Josh Norris flips it around into the player that he was before getting that contract extension, which
he had that 135
but dude,
goals.
Just like how NHL players are, like they're willing to die for the guy next to them in the locker room, and they always have belief in like you don't think that like
that's just a human gut initial reaction.
You think it's
I don't think
invalid that like he needs to just like wrap it up with like getting emotional.
That's his closure. Like, I'm sure he'll move on after that, and I'm sure it'll work out fine. But I can't really blame him initially for having that kind of reaction. Like I think a lot of players
because now this move to Brady in Brady Tkachuk's mind. It was like, okay, you guys don't think this group was good enough to do it this year. And then if they don't do it, if they don't make the playoffs after making this move, Brady's going to be like, all right, you just shipped him out because you thought he wasn't good enough and you thought these guys coming in were going to make us a better team. And then they didn't. Fuck you guys.
It sounds like you got to do something, though. Like you haven't made the playoffs in 8 years. You're right in the hunt for this wild card spot. Like you had to make a trade like this, right? You can't really blame them for it. Yeah.
But that shouldn't be the reason, like, oh, you shipped out my best friend. And, like it should be, we missed the playoffs. I don't see a future where we're contenders. I would like to go play somewhere else. It's not you shipped out my best friend, that's not what it is.
It's not just that, but it's like the guys in the locker room with you. Like, yes, they were best friends, but I guarantee you they talked every single day about, man, dude, like, we're right there. If we can stay healthy and play our best game, we can beat anyone. Like, you've heard Brady Tkachuk saying that for the past couple weeks in interviews and stuff. And then it's like now the team has a different makeup. Things are different now. That's all I'm saying.
I also love the Zetterlund move. Like, I love that move for the Senators.
That's a sneaky one. Yeah.
It's really confusing to me why the San Jose Sharks did that. That was a kid that was lighting up their team that was, for all intents and purposes, not good. Their last place in the NHL. Like, why? He's like 25 years old, isn't he? Like, yeah, he's 25.
Guys, the San Jose Sharks, man, they're shipping out all of Celebrini's help there, man. You think he's going to want out of San Jose there? I'm joking. This would be, if this was Bedard's situation, this would be what the media narrative would be, but the Sharks is just what a revealing team does. But for Zetterlund, though, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. I get Wallman, I get Granlund, right? When their value's high, sell. But Zetterlund, as you just said, 25 years old, not even in the prime of his career yet. Why would you ship out a player like that? Like, he's been cooking there. He's played a lot with Celebrini and Will Smith, is his good friend there. I don't really understand that one.
So Zetterlund has 17 goals, 19 assists for 36 points in 64 games with the Sharks. And he's actually a +8
On the Sharks?
On the Sharks.
He's a +8.
He's a +8.
How the
and you know what's kind of funny? So he's played in every single game for the Sharks this season. I love this stuff. He's played in every single game for the Sharks this season, who have played 64 games. The Ottawa Senators have played in 61. So if he plays in every single game for the Ottawa Senators this season, he will play in 85 regular season games.
What's the record for that? It's
I don't know.
Yeah,
We can look that up.
It's so funny looking at stats like that. And you see like an 83 or 84 and stuff. I think there were a couple seasons where it's 84 games, but like in today's NHL, because like sometimes it's how it works at the trade deadline. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
But that's a great move. I think it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Sneaky one. Everybody's talking about, the Cousins one for good reasons.
That
but,
top 6 is looking nasty, I will say, in Ottawa, but I am praying for their downfall.
Yeah, fair enough. So we can get your good friend there. Yeah, Brady Tkachuk.
I have the answer here. The answer, it's 2 players tied. 92-93 season, Jimmy Carson, and 93-94, Bob Kudelski. They each played in 86 regular season games.
86.
That is really funny.
Wow, that's not that far off. 85, but that'll be close.
And Tyson Barrie played in 85 games in the 22-23 season too. So
there you go.
That's pretty funny, man.
Can't say they're not putting in the work.
Yeah.
How's that? They should almost get some extra money for that. A few extra games there. Overtime pay.
Yeah, no, that's not how that works. Unfortunately, you're just eating extra games. I love the move for Ottawa. I think this really showed that they're serious.
Yeah,
like they,
serious too.
Yeah.
Like that's the way you do it.
It's sacrifice. It's what you gotta do. It can't all be sunshines and rainbows. You gotta make sacrifices to if you want to win. If you want to win enough, you gotta show it. And this move shows it. So we'll see. It'll definitely be a team to watch for sure.
All right, can we bounce now to a team that
you have a rant about LA, don't you?
What are they? What do they want? Like, what direction are they going? What are they thinking? Like, it's the least unserious playoff team in my mind.
Hey, they got Kuzmeister, the Kuzmeister. He'll be the problem
That's a
solver
joke.
there, right? I'm kidding.
It's literally a meme that's who you brought in.
Nux means fair player. Yeah.
Like you're just, I don't. Why wouldn't, especially in the sellers market, like sell more? If like, I don't understand what they're trying to do, because it's like this group is obviously not good enough. They didn't make any meaningful additions, but they didn't subtract anything. They didn't take advantage of the sellers market. What's their vision? What is their plan? I don't really have an answer. I'm just here scratching my head and just saying, like, if I'm an LA fan, I would be so furious.
Hey, on February 27th, they traded Tyler Madden for Joseph Ciccone. So there you go. I'm sure he's the answer there. I don't even know who those players are. I'm just looking at the trade boards and seeing that.
Look, I'm not as low in LA as you might be.
Yeah, no.
Like, I look at the team, like, first line, Fiala, Byfield, Laferriere. Second line, Kuzmenko, Kopitar, Kempe. Third line, Fogle, Deneau, Trevor Moore. It's a better third line than what the Oilers are trotting out there.
It's cool to say names and like, but is it better than like?
How have the last 3 years gone there
and
when they face each other? How has that gone? So 2022, it's 7 games. 2023, it's 6 games. Last year it was 5 games. I think this year Oilers probably sweep them.
It doesn't matter that you like some of the guys on the team. In reality, they are playing Edmonton, and then they are playing either the Avalanche or the Golden
Edmonton
Knights.
didn't go get anybody to play with Leon Draisaitl. You got Vasily Podkolzin and Victor Arvidsson playing with Leon Draisaitl.
They just made it to the Cup final.
They're like
they lost all their
there's,
players.
There's a difference between Edmonton and LA. Edmonton has gotten there. They got there last year. They're clearly way better than LA. Like
Edmonton lost Warren Fogle, Dylan Holloway. Like they got older and slower up front.
And then
Okay,
who they
the
just
two
brought
best
in a
players in the
couple.
world.
They just brought in a couple guys. They just brought in Wallman. Who else did they just bring in? They made a couple trades. Obviously, it wasn't anything crazy. Like,
You know what?
You're putting out Troy Stetcher,
Tassos
Cam
does have
Dineen,
a
and
point
Ty
here.
Emerson.
Who's their GM now? Stan Bowman. Stan Bowman brings losing hockey with them. I think we can attest to that.
Your
So
best
maybe he's
defensemen
onto
this
something
year have
here.
been Darnell Nurse and Brett Kulak.
Okay, so I just don't understand what your pushback is. Okay, let's say LA beats the Oilers in the first round. Then
Okay.
what?
Then you hope you go
They're
on a
not.
run.
What is it? They have no chance.
I don't
This
know.
team is not good. That's not good enough.
Their goaltending's better than last year. I'm just saying, like, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, but
It's a point, though. I mean, the Oilers is kind of puzzling. They didn't do anything about the goaltending.
the Oilers are a worse team than when they played Game 7 in the Cup final, and Los Angeles is a better team.
I still
than
think
when
they beat LA, but I don't think they're a cup
Edmonton
team.
has Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Okay, then you better hope that those two can carry you all the way.
They did it last year.
They didn't. They had a whole team with them.
Connor McDavid had like 40. Connor McDavid won the Conn Smythe on the losing team. He had like one of the best playoff performances ever.
Okay, I'm just saying. They also did it a lot of years where they didn't make the cup final, and the team looked very similar to the way it looks right now.
And their early exits, yeah.
LA is not doing anything this year.
What did you want them to do? Trade Brant Clark for somebody?
Buy something. Like, yeah, try to bring in some sort of talent to bolster this roster. Because what I'm saying is either try to win now or commit to the future. They did neither. What did I want LA to do? I wanted LA to do something.
They brought in Andrei Kuzmenko.
I mean, obviously, I don't give a shit because I don't care about the LA Kings. I genuinely dislike the LA Kings because of 2014. Like
LA.
But I'm just saying, like, if I'm an LA fan, I'm scratching my head and screaming at the fucking moon because it's like, what's the plan?
I don't know.
You might say you like this lineup, okay? For how long?
Yeah, I'm glad.
Anze Kopitar 1 year left on his deal. Drew Doughty making $11 million for the next 2 years. What's the plan in LA?
I'm glad that they held on to Byfield and Clark, though, because I've seen those guys in names. It's like I think they'd be even dumber to move on from guys like that to try to win now. I think by trading those guys, you're not making your team better anyway. So, but to answer your question, they didn't really do anything, though.
I think the hope, if you're LA, is that Clark and Byfield turn into the next Kopitar Doughty.
Yeah, they're banking a lot on that, but the potential's there. Let's see it out. If you're LA, I think that makes the most sense. Yeah.
I just feel like I understand that somebody just said in chat, Kings have no cap. Okay, this was the seller's market of all sellers markets. Like, then sell because you're not winning this year. You're not winning next year. Like you're not winning anytime soon with this roster.
Like if you're in a playoff spot, why would you do that though?
I don't care about being in a playoff spot when you know you have a gauntlet that's impossible to overcome.
Yeah, no GM's going to admit to that, though. Be like, oh, yeah, we're not going to beat the Lakers, so we're just going to sell and just give up.
I don't know.
I think you're underestimating the Kings just a little bit.
Just push yourself. Imagine being a fan. Like, I know we're all just kind of like talking about all these teams that we don't really care. Imagine if you're an LA Kings fan. Like, where do you go from here? What's the plan? Are you just like okay with where you're at?
Who is available that didn't get moved?
I'm upset that we didn't trade Ryan Donato. What are LA Kings fans feeling?
Like the only thing, and we're going to transition this afterward to talking about Brock Boeser a little bit, but that is probably the big player on the board that could have gotten moved that didn't. You know what I mean? So I guess if you're an LA Kings fan, the only thing you could be upset about is, hey, we didn't go get Brock Boeser.
Brock Boeser, you say, is that a potential future piece there, tier 2 addition for our Chicago Blackhawks?
You better hope not after this quote that we're about to play.
Oh, well,
can we hear Patrick Alvin, Canucks GM, on Brock Boeser?
Oh, boy.
Was there really no interest in him in that range, like a potential first-round pick and those kinds of?
If I told you what I was offered for Brock Boeser, I think I would have to run out of here because you would not believe me.
Really? Yeah. Okay. And we were told there was a late offer that you guys may have made to Brock's camp about a potential extension earlier today. Is that true at all?
We talked briefly last night. But again, like I was leading up to this, I had conversation with his agent and made him aware that this might happen, that he's still going to be here. And as of last night, and even this morning when I informed Talk about potential lineup, that's why the reason why he was out there skating, that there wasn't any deals there.
I'm confused.
Well, I mean,
so that means they want Brock Boeser.
Well, yes, but apparently they offered him a 5-year deal north of $8.5 million, and that was turned down.
What?
He wanted more term.
Oh, what? And that feels pretty fair to me.
Right?
Huh. So that's what I'm saying. It's like if you miss out on Mitch, you're going to be overpaying for all these guys.
Like overpaying.
Yeah, but then do you do nothing then? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Cat going up the Hawk situation, you kind of have to.
No, you don't. You really don't.
Okay, so then let's just go tank for McKenna then. Yep. We're on the board, right? Yep. We're gonna suck next year again. Bottom 3. That's what we're doing.
I don't want to jeopardize. I don't want to jeopardize everything just to not have one more shitty season.
Okay. All right, man.
Suffering next year and having a bad season and being a potential lottery team, that sounds horrible. There might be people fired, whatever. Giving a bunch of guys bad contracts for the next 5 to 8 years is not really much better of an alternative.
Yeah, well, we'll see how we feel about that this time next year.
Okay, bro, you want to give fucking Brock Besser 7 years, $9 million? Go crazy.
What happens if we don't get Cam McKenna then? Then we just wasted a whole season there?
Next year's draft's supposed to be deep as hell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's great. I'm sure everybody's looking
Wait,
forward
so
to.
do you want to give Brock Besser 7 years?
I'm sure everybody's looking forward to year 5 of draft prospect talk here. That's really gets me going.
Dude, I mean,
we've been patient. We've been patient. How many times in the show we said, "Oh, the 2025 draft. This is going to be the last big haul here." Then we got to start improving it. Now it's like, this. We did trade Ryan Donato, so now everything's over here. Again, what's the logic here? What are we talking about here?
Bad contracts is not any better of an alternative from another bad year.
Cap's going up like how many? The Hawks have $30 million plus in cap space.
Dude, how many memes did you make on B-Hawks memes about Seth Jones being bad and a locker room cancer and his contract being too big?
Seth Jones.
If you overpay, dude, Seth Jones, the reason why you don't like Seth Jones is because of his contract. If you do that for 2 other B-plus guys, you're going to be saying the same shit about them. You're going to be slandering them just as much.
It's not the same situation.
No, I'm that's crazy talk, dude.
What? Okay, we'll see. Let's see what the chat's saying.
No, but you still haven't said you're down to do Brock Besser $9 million for 7 years.
I never said that.
Okay, so you're not okay with doing that.
Someone like that. I'm just saying a tier 2 edition. Somebody like that. A better version of that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I give Besser 9. You're putting words in my mouth.
Well, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about Brock Besser.
If Brock Besser was offered 5 times 8.5, well, who else is out there?
Yeah, you say these ideas, but there's like 4 names.
It's Boeser, it's Ehlers,
it's
I'm just
Sam
sick
Bennett.
of all
Sam
this
Bennett.
talk. Oh, we got to help Bedard. We got to help this. And then we just do nothing. Like, well, that's not the
Well, no,
answer.
you got to go broke for Mitch Marner.
Yeah, yes.
Otherwise,
We've
you
been
have
saying
to
that.
make a trade. That's why I'm saying where it's the trade market is where something like this is going to happen more so than free agency then at this point.
And now it just passed.
Well, then get on the Elias Pettersson train, everybody. Everybody get on Elias Pettersson to Chicago.
I just feel like I'm talking in circles here until brick walls here. Like, how many times have we said? How many times have we said we can't afford another season like this? And now we're just walking back on that. Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know.
See, so what I just did is I brought up I said a specific player with a specific contract, and I said no. And then you're saying yes, but you're being like, no, not that specific contract. You're acting
like that's the one move we have to make here. That's the only solution.
So then
here.
what move are you making? What move are you making, and what's the term? Like, should we bring up Sam?
We just said we just said barter or bust. That's what we just said.
Oh, okay, so
but let's say Marner's off the table.
Yeah, what if Marner's off the table?
Oh fuck! Go trade for fucking. Oh yeah. Honestly, I would take a risk on Elias Pettersson. I would do it.
Yeah.
Oh fuck it.
If you have there's no other stars available. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta do something.
Can you get Quentin Byfield out of Los Angeles? Can you? I'm trying to think who else is out there.
Yes.
Cole Perfetti maybe in Winnipeg. Can you get him?
Paterka, I don't know, somebody like that. Yeah, Ehlers and Jet. Yeah, Ehlers.
But then, to get a Paterka or a Byfield, you're gonna have to. You're not just giving up Ryan Donato. Like you're giving up an asset that you really like, or maybe 2 of them.
That's where the Maple Leafs first and all of these second round picks
How many
come into
fucking
play.
draft picks do we have? I think we have the facilities to make that happen.
I think Buffalo just proved that they don't care. Like, you're not going to entice Buffalo to give up Paterka with draft picks. You're not going to entice LA to give up Quentin Byfield with draft picks.
All right, well, we have this large quantity of prospects. We don't have enough room for all of them. Then that's what you got to do. Then you got to start making sacrifices to make that happen.
All right, bye, Frank Nazar. You're going to Buffalo for JJ Paterka.
Again, you're making scenarios that I didn't create here. Yeah.
All right, let's do some questions here before everybody starts ripping each other's throats out.
I think. Let's get to the questions.
Not a question for Friday, but a thought. If I'm Davidson, I'm offering the Ducks the Leafs first rounder this year and a B tier prospect for Mason McTavish. Good young player who's close with Bedard and they're close in age. And then Bedsy can move to the wing and maybe we run Bedard, McTavish, parentheses, Nazar, Burt, Tavo. Now because Mikko's off the table and I don't know how confident I am on Marner. That kind of goes into that discussion we're having of like a young star that's available for trade.
Can you repeat the trade proposal again?
It was just acquiring
Mason McTavish, giving away
the Maple Leafs first,
and
a B tier prospect.
It have to be more
a B tier prospect.
A B tier prospect. Yes. do it.
I'm
Fuck.
okay with making moves like that.
Yes.
With our draft capital and everything, I'm okay with like kind of making like almost low key gambles on like NHL ready young players.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Friday being the end of the deadline, what are some trades you guys expected to happen but didn't, or the other way around?
Donato.
Just besides Ryan Donato, let's say.
Boeser. I mean, I think we all kind of expected that one, and it didn't really happen. Pedersen was a guy that maybe, that would have been one on the table too. Paterka in Buffalo, if it wasn't Cousins, it was going to be one of those two. Yeah, I'd say those are some.
I think my biggest thing is just like the entire divisions, of like the Pacific and the Metro, just like not doing anything. Like what's the reasoning there? What's the mindset? I don't know. It's I think kind of interesting. I just feel like if I was a fan of one of those teams in those divisions, I'd be like, dude, it's so weak. Like if you went for broke, like if you're Carolina, I don't know. I just feel like a couple of moves could have been made for like if you're a Washington Capitals fan, it's like, oh my gosh, it's right there. If you just tried a little harder to get a little bit better, you'd have an easy route to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah. I'm going to say some names here that I'm a little bit surprised about. John Gibson is one. Just kind of thought that maybe the noise around there was a little bit louder. David Savard in Montreal. Mario Ferraro a little bit too. Bowen Byram's name's been out there, wasn't moved. Rasmus Ristolainen too, considering his teammate Lawton got moved. Connor Murphy, if we're talking local teams here, I'm surprised that nothing really happened there. Forwards, Ricard Raquel, I thought was somebody that was going to be a piece moved, and obviously Braden Shen.
Maybe a Zegras or somebody like that.
Zegras
too.
as well.
Reichel, I'm glad. I will say that. That's a positive because we were worried about Lucas Reichel. We saw his name. I'm glad that we're sticking with him. Yeah, that's good.
If anyone, who are you hoping the Blackhawks can offer sheet at the NHL entry draft?
Johnston's off the table. Maybe Matthew Nyes is a possibility. Somebody of that nature would be cool. Yeah, that's the thing. I think this really opens up, like, offer sheeting is definitely, you're going to have to get up a fuck ton to make it happen. But you know what? That's what you got to do at this point. I mean, look, it worked pretty well for the Blues. So if you can do something like that, get your Dylan Holloway, somebody of that nature, do it. Yeah.
Well, what would the Matthew Nyes...
Here's the problem with an offer sheet. Is that it is your own picks that you are giving up.
Would this be this year's draft or?
It would be next year's draft.
Do it. Next year's? Well, yeah, there we go.
But is Matthew Nyes moving the needle enough that you're not in contention for Gavin McKenna? And then you just gave the Maple Leafs.
Alone. No.
You just gave the Maple Leafs a top 5 pick for Matthew Nyes.
Well, it depends upon what the contract is.
Well, the only way that you don't include a first round pick is if it's in the range of 2.29 to 4.58. If it's anything in that range, the Maple Leafs are going to match it.
I think it comes down to that then. Yeah.
Like after that, it's 4.5 to 6.8. It's a first and a third. 6.8 to 9.1 is a first, a second, and a third. 9.1 to 11.4 is 2 firsts, a second, and a third. And anything above 11.4 is 4 first round picks on an offer sheet.
Yeah, that's tricky. That's asking for a lot there.
Like
you always gotta get somebody in entry level or something like that. Yeah. Or like a lower, bridge deal.
Like you don't want to give up a first round pick. No. You almost have to do what the Blues did with Holloway and Broberg, where they were left giving up like a third round pick and a second round pick to the Oilers for that one.
Yeah, you just have to find the right player contract to make that work, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, you're just playing Moneyball for like middle six guys.
Yeah, Moneyball, good movie. Haven't seen that in a while. KD should rewatch that movie.
I'm looking up NHL RFAs in 2025. Well, I send this to your next question. Do the Hawks offer shoot Wyatt Johnston?
Well, that's too late for that. I think we threw out that idea on the show before, but yep, too late for that. So not happening.
RFAs.
that's all. Not really more to offer there.
If you're offer sheeting somebody, it's got to be somebody that you're like,
oh my gosh,
this is the guy that we're gonna. Because Matthew Nyes, yeah, if you have to give up your first, second, and a third for him, it's like, well, then you better really believe that he's going to be the power forward playing on Bedard's wing for the next decade.
Yeah,
you know.
people in chat now are talking about the 2027 draft. I want to bang my head against the wall, man. We were just talking about the 26. Now we're going to 27. All this draft talk. Man.
I know it sucks. I didn't want to be here talking about the 2026, 2027 drafts. Like
Oh man.
But it's just starting to look more and more likely that we are going to be doing a lot of draft talk next year.
Fun stuff.
Can I be honest with you guys? I know you guys are going to hate this.
Let's hear it.
But if I'm the Blackhawks now, I'm looking at the RFA list for this summer.
Next year is looking pretty good from that regard. I mean, there's a certain Edmonton players. I think his contract.
I'm talking RFAs though.
Oh yeah.
RFAs for 2025. You've got names on here that I think you should target via trade. Mason McTavish is actually a really, really good one. Don't cheat, Lee. Don't cheat.
Oh,
I'm going to read
we're
them.
Doing quizzes?
No, I'm not quizzing. I'm just setting up a discussion here.
You can't jump the shark. You better jump the sharks. You can't let the sharks beat us. Sorry.
What if you go out and you go get established NHL defensemen? Noah Dobson, whose name has been out there a little bit. Bowen Byram, whose name has been out there a little bit. Keandre Miller, whose name has been out there a little bit. Evan Bouchard is also an RFA at this season's end too. You know, any of those four guys, any collection of those four guys interest you at all?
I'm more shit young forwards.
Forwards. I can't like
Bedsy.
I'm so confident in
our decor.
Decor. Yeah. Like we already basically have 5 young defensemen playing right now.
Nice to start agreeing with you again. We're on the right. We're on the right track now.
keep playing them. Keep rolling, and Levshinov and Rinzel, and they're gonna start coming through. Like I'm chilling with the decor. We got to be talking about forwards, I think.
Yeah,
I'm just agree. Like those guys are like a step above at the NHL level. Anything that the Hawks have right now, but especially like Dobson and Byram and
but if we're talking about like giving up assets to bring in those guys, what's the point of the past 3 years? Like we're not. I just don't think KD will even do it, and I agree with him.
Well, then it looks like your only options are Mason McTavish, Capo Caco, who isn't going anywhere by my estimation, and maybe you could pry a Marco Rossi out of Minnesota.
Yeah, I have heard that they kind of question his long-term, future with the club. That'd be a guy that I'd be interested in for sure.
Yeah. That strokes my fancy.
Yeah, and then the only other question is the same one we get from Trevor every week. And would you trade this year's first-round pick to Nashville for their pick next year?
No.
I'd think about it.
I'll take Misa happily. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'd want to see where we land before I'm like, yes.
What if it's 4? What if it's the 4th overall
you
pick?
Consider it. You definitely consider it.
Okay, and then if you're doing that, then you are really like committing to sucking next year.
Yep.
And that's fair, but I think we'll get a top 3 pick this year. I hope and pray, or I will. I'm not going to be very happy if we don't.
If we don't get a top 3 pick,
the York Games is going to be an absolute shambles as we speak. Holy, well, let's not speak into existence, right? Yeah.
All right, let's end the show with this. Everybody pick one winner and one loser for the trade deadline. Our way too early winners and losers from today and this afternoon.
This guy's rushing to get
Justin's
his answer out
feeling like
first.
the big loser today, honestly.
Loser, Hawks. No, I mean, I all seriously, Hawks is a wash. Look, today, yes, might be a loss, but we can't forget about the Seth Jones trade. So from that perspective, I don't think they lost. A winner, I'll say it's too easy, but I'll say the Stars are a winner for me. I think that's a pretty easy one from that perspective. And I will say, I'll just keep it even easier. I think the losers are the Carolina Hurricanes. I said it. Don't make that trade. Like, you commit. You got Rantanen, commit to it. I don't care. Oh, you got Stankoven 2 first. Who fucking cares, man? You just threw away your chance to win the cup this year. This should be a win now team. I think Stars winners, Canes losers. There you go.
Winner, I'm going Florida Panthers. Marchand, Jones, that team, if they stay healthy and have Matthew Tkachuk, they're winning the Stanley Cup. Loser, I'm going to go LA. Fuck you, LA. You didn't do anything.
As tough as it is for me to not say the Maple Leafs are the winners of the day,
Canadian assets struggling there.
As tough as it is, I'm actually going to go with the other team in Ontario.
No way.
The Ottawa Senators are the big winners for me. To get a second round pick, a guy who can play 7th D man and Dennis Gilbert, who is literally the only guy with the semblance of like tough skin on the Buffalo Sabres, and to also get a 2nd round pick while also giving up a defenseman in Jacob Bernard-Docker that you clearly didn't feel any sort of way about, and a guy who can't seem to stay healthy. Like, you won that deal if you're Ottawa, and then you used not the 2nd round pick that you got, but a bonus 2nd round pick now to go get Fabian Zetterlund, who's awesome for you. I think that if Ottawa, like, I know you guys want to see Detroit in the playoffs. I don't.
It feels like they penciled in their playoff spot with these moves. Detroit's been an absolute free fall lately. The Canadians, I don't care if they're close. That's not a playoff team. The Bruins have milled it in. The Rags have milled it in. They're not going anywhere. I'd say it's going to be them in Columbus. I'd love to see Detroit, but I don't think it's happening.
I want to see Ottawa. My losers for the day. It's hard for me to pick between Detroit and Winnipeg, just because it feels like Winnipeg did a little bit, but not enough. And yeah, I'm going to say Detroit, because you had all these teams around you doing things, and you did.
You brought in a 3rd goaltender.
You brought in Peter Mrazek and Craig Smith.
Yeah, like Hawks and Wings, battle of mid-deadline day from both of them, but at least we made big moves before today. Wings are basically just saying, we're cooked here, and I think they are cooked.
I love the moves Ottawa made, though.
Yes, I think this is finally the year they break through. We'll see if they do when they get there, but it looks like playoff hockey for the first time since the Kunitz OT winner in 2017 will be back. So
imagine if Washington brought in Ryan Donato.
Oh, that would have made too much sense for them, man. That actually would have been a nice move for them. Why didn't they think about that? Huh.
They would have been the easy favorite coming out of the Metro. Like, that would have been a free ride to the Eastern Conference Final.
Come on and take a free ride. Do, 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 do. It's a Days of Confused song. If you've seen Days of Confused, the movie, it's a good movie.
They didn't write the song, though.
No, they didn't, but it's in the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything
Slow
else?
Ride by Foghat.
That's a good one too.
That's
Slow
not the same song.
Ride. That's a different one. Yeah. Yeah.
Flo Rida. Panthers.
Wow, this is really gone.
Free
somewhere.
Ride is a song by Edgar Winter.
That's
just
right.
So everybody knows.
Yeah. The Slow Ride's also in Days of Confused, actually. So Raven really cooked with that one. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, fellas?
What do we rate the Chicago Blackhawks trade deadline?
Like the whole thing, or
yes,
just today?
yes,
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
B minus.
They still get a passing grade. They still get a solid grade for me just because of the Seth Jones thing. I know today, we're talking about trades that didn't happen here. In terms of trades that did, even the trade they made today was a good trade. I think I'd be more thrilled about it if the other thing happened. But if you're taking up like a lot of points because of what didn't happen, you gotta look at what did happen. In terms of what they did do, I hate to steal Tassos here, but I'll say A-2. Guys, sorry, I hate to do that, but yeah, I would agree with that. Maybe B+ if you're taking off points for today. But the Jones stuff was an A+. Today was like a B-, so B+, be the middle. Yeah.
I'll say 7.2 out of 10.
He's going out of 10. Okay. That's that, yeah. 6.9. Nice. Yeah.
A 7.2 out of 10 is a C-.
Well, yeah, you
different
say that, but
grading
it's
system.
different.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
different
yeah.
because
No, it's not. It's
yeah,
the
a
same
7
thing.
out of 10 is like
If
like
you got a
close
quiz
to
back, if you took
I
it-
understand.
Okay.
Yes,
72% is a C-.
Yes, but also there's like a 4.2 is different than a 3.2 is different from a 4.7, but they're both Fs on your scale. So
Okay.
There's a point.
big brain.
Sure.
Gosh, I'm a fucking idiot.
All right. Raven also wants me to mention that our vlog from this week will be out next week. We K-Wings game and live show on Wednesday.
What a long week.
Yeah, awesome week. But Raven cooked up an awesome vlog. I got a sneak preview at it today, and it's freaking awesome. So be on the lookout for that on Monday. Hawks play back-to-back. They don't just play against Utah tonight. They are in Nashville tomorrow
We didn't even
night.
mention that. That's true.
So,
yeah.
who's on the post games with me? Justin's with me tonight on the post game.
Okay.
Are you tomorrow or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. There you go.
Cool.
We'll be there.
So that is it from us for the week. Hope everybody enjoyed our trade deadline special. Thank you for joining in. We had quite a few of you join with us today, so it means a lot. Vlog next week. Back to regularly scheduled programming next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And yeah, that's it. We'll let you know about live streams. If we decide to do one next week, we will let you know on Monday. All right, everybody. That's it. We will see everybody tonight for the post game.
Adios.
Peace.